Welcome back to the Top 6 show. Hit like buttons. Make sure you're subscribing to the Football Terrace. Got a brilliant panel for you tonight. Lots of great stories and talking points to go through. Sane and Sesko to Arsenal. Sammy Mukbel has confirmed that the Sane conversation is real and is on. Manchester United supposedly now leading the way in the race for Victor Gyökeres. United fans are excited. Rivals are now claiming that is a red flag for the player. We're going to be delving into that on the show. We're looking at Chelsea, Delap, the new number 9, the official number 9. He'll be going to the World Club Cup. Plus, Magic Mike from AC Milan has told Milan that he wants to join Chelsea. He's agreed to the terms he's been offered. And you don't hear the term transfer request in the modern day game, but that's essentially what he's done by telling AC Milan he wants to join. They are close to an agreement there. We're talking a bit of Newcastle, or supposedly close to a deal for a man like Madueke from Chelsea Football Club unfortunately, after United offered 1.6 billion yen per week for Mbomo, they've unfortunately missed out on him. And Newcastle fans are very angry about that. We were speaking to Toon Tactics earlier, who has been saying all week that we've been overpaying, distorting the market, buying average players, all this sort of nonsense. He's been in the group chat. KJ has been apoplectic. He's been fuming. Ringing me up, Terry, I've got to calm down. I'm like, all right, what's up? Toon Tactics said we're buying shit players. Whatever he was very, very angry with our KJ, I tell you. So look, we've got loads to go through on the show today. There was something else on the talking points as well. That plus Man City madness. You know, Nori in, Randers in, Shirky next. They're doing a bit of business. They're 330 million spent since January. They mean business. But we've got a great panel. Kate is back with us today. We've got Phil from Toon Tactics. We've got man like Tom Little. And my bro is back in Arsenal. Man like Kunle is in the house. How is everyone? Everyone well and good?
Thank you. Yeah, good. Blessing. Yeah. Always a blessing to be here. Pick up the chat. Pick up
tennis is on. Yeah, tennis is on. Calm, bro.
Wimbledon started?
No, not yet. It's still the French Open.
Oh, the French Open is still on. All right. Sorry, I was like a bit early for Wimbledon, isn't it? I haven't watched French Open in a while, to be fair. Yeah, good.
I have to distract myself somehow, with football.
You know what? You just said French Open. You've said that. You know Henry Wright sitting there so confused right now. I knew it was French. He's sitting there
French
so
again.
Confused. French. I knew it.
There's awesome in there.
He's honestly he's a madman. I don't know where he is today, but big up yourself, Henry, wherever you are. What is that, KJ? Oh, he's trying to count. He's learning to count to 20 today. That's why he's not here.
I thought because I was here. I thought he was like chickened out because Kate was here.
I thought KJ was sending the shot.
You have been very harsh to him. You have misrepresented him big time.
No.
I agreed with what Henry said.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me, Terry, because you two are best friends. But if people deliberately grift for another team over my team, they're going to get it, and he does. So he gets it. That's it.
He doesn't grift for another team.
Can we just say Kate with a trophy is different to Kate without one? Can we just acknowledge that?
The biggest fucking ego boost I've ever seen a fan base have.
The funniest part about it is all he said was he would swap it to have a realistic chance of winning the Premier League next year, which is only saying I would give up this trophy to try to have a really good chance of winning an even bigger one. I didn't think that's grifting for another club. He
didn't. If Eddie had said that, I would have gone.
No, because that was
what the question. Swap Arsenal. It's for Arsenal.
No. It's not about. It wasn't about Arsenal. So you've heard the word Arsenal and your brain stopped working, right? I said to him about having their chances of winning the league next year compared to Spurs', and everyone knows that with their signing, they're probably going to be in and around the title race. I think most people believe that. And he said, yeah, it wasn't about becoming Arsenal. The question was never, do you want to become Arsenal, have their colours?
What the question was, Terry? Do you remember what the question was?
Yeah, I asked
Would
about
you
5
give
people.
up everything except your name, your badge, your stadium?
No. It wasn't that. No, that wasn't the question. So Pip was specified. It was you keep everything about your club's history, your stadium, your name, your badge, your players, your legends. Yeah. You keep everything. All it was saying is, and I asked this to United fans, I've asked this to Chelsea fans, but it was, would you give up that Europa League to have Arsenal's chances of winning the league next year? And he said yes, because he believes Arsenal got a chance of winning the league. So it's not about him wanting to become Arsenal. It's saying, I want Spurs to be able to win a league title. I don't see that as grifting for another club. I see that as wanting his club to be at that level.
I think it's a disgrace. We've waited 41 years for a European trophy. I ain't giving it up for nothing.
So if I had a magic wand right now, forget Arsenal. If I said to you, magic wand, you'll eviscerate your memory of that trophy. It's gone. Everything else stays the same, but you get Liverpool's chances of winning the Premier League next year. Are you taking it?
No, because it's all about the journey, not just the destination. And
you've had the journey of the last 40-odd years of your life watching Spurs. You've had it.
No, but we've won something at the end of it this year.
Yeah, but you might win the Prem next year.
But we might not. That's the thing. And,
cool.
and particularly using Arsenal as the example, they're second place losers every year.
But it's chances. I mean, we're just trying to, and it wasn't really about swapping places with other teams. Like I said, I wouldn't want to be City or Liverpool, but I'd swap our last 2 trophies to have a guarantee of their league consistency over the past 3 or 4 seasons for Man United for the next 5 years, because I think that gives us more chance of winning more trophies and bigger ones. It's not about wanting to be them as a club. It's wanting to be at that level. That's all the question was. It wasn't, do you as a Tottenham fan want to be Arsenal? It wasn't that, to be fair to Henry.
Taking their squad and everything, and I'm not swapping. Maybe if you'd used a different team, it'd been different. But when Arsenal's concerned, I ain't swapping nothing.
So, Henry's logic is fine. It was just the team we use. Fair enough. Yeah. I get you.
I also quite like how this trophy's made Tottenham fans start calling Arsenal the bottlers.
Yeah, bro. They've changed, man. One night has changed them.
They have changed. They have changed.
North London.
They've changed. Speaking of change, Man United have made a couple of decent signings so far. And Toon, what's wrong with them? Why have Man United ruining the transfer market, in your opinion?
That's a great question. I think it's more to do with, we had obviously a discussion with KJ today around that. It's not necessarily. There's a number of things that obviously influence transfer markets, whether it's a media hype over a player, supply and demand. So, i.e., there'll be a bigger. There's not a lot of Kylian Mbappe's, hence why the demand for Kylian Mbappe is over 100 million plus. But there's tons of long staffs, right? So you can pay a little bit less for that. But there's also what a team wants in terms of the needs of a team. If, for instance, in the case we're talking about Mbeumo, we're talking about Newcastle, we're talking about Man United, and as you said yourself, Terry, when you kind of said, I think someone posed to you the question as, who from the back in the day of Man United would you put in your team? And you said you change every position. There isn't one position you wouldn't change, which is true. There's a lot of upgrades for Man United to do. So Man United, therefore, their need is far greater for players than it is, for instance, as opposed to Newcastle, Arsenal, Liverpool. It doesn't mean that we don't want players, but it just means that we're in a position where we can take a little bit more time. There's a little bit less leverage that any other selling club can do for us. Hence why we had this debate. So Man United's needs is far greater. Hence why in the first week of the transfer window, you've signed 2 players, which is kudos to you guys, but you're not going to get players at a discount by doing that. That's not what's happening here. You're overpaying for players in order to get an advantage, in order to get them over the line, which is fine. But it's not. No one's here saying that it's a discount. It's at a cut price. It makes the right moves or whatnot, and it's having a ripple effect. So Newcastle, for instance, were linked to Madueke today for £60 million. I don't think that happens if Kunle isn't bought for £60 million. And then Mbeumo now, Brentford are asking £60 million for Mbeumo. It's not just me saying it, it's Brentford are saying it. Brentford are making the case to you guys that, hey, you've paid £62 million for Cunha, who nobody else was bidding for. Therefore, we want you to bid 60 million, even plus, as has been reported, for Mbeumo. They've referenced your buyers in not anybody else's, not previous transfer windows, not Tottenham, Solanke to Tottenham or anything like that. They reference your buyers to Cunha. Hence why now we're getting a distortion of the market. For Mbeumo, and I'll finish it. For Mbeumo, just finish on this. Okay. For Mbeumo, just a couple of weeks before, we were getting quoted 50 million for him. by Brentford. So the highest they were hoping for, which was the premium, was £50 million. And obviously that tells me that we were probably haggling somewhere between 35 to 45 million with add-ons type of stuff. I think that we were haggling over that. So that's what it told me. Obviously, you've come in, Man United, you've come in with a bigger bid and more wages and whatnot, and you've gone over that. Now Brentford are even taking it a step further by saying, oh, it's Man United. I remember you guys paid 60 million for Cunha. We think Mbeumo is better than Cunha. And now the prices have gone up. It's just a natural thing. It happens. And that's what happens in markets.
So I understand where you're coming from to a degree, but I don't think, of course, they're going to quote what we've paid and not what. I'll give you an example. We have paid £62 million for Cunha, which is £2.5 million over his current market value. City are paying £20 million over the current market value of Reinders. So, but the only reason that Brentford will quote what we have spent on Cunha is because they're negotiating with us. Were they negotiating with City, they would be quoting City's back to them. The thing is, I get where you're coming from, but I just don't think it's isolated to Manchester United. I had a look going back for a couple of seasons and looking at your club as an example. When you go on transfer market and look at what you paid for the Trippiers, Burns, Wilcox, Willock, sorry.
No, but hold on. I disagree with that earlier point because when, for instance, Neymar was bought for £100 million, that had a ripple effect on everybody, every other club, every other negotiations. So it wasn't just that, when Neymar was sold to Barcelona, they only talked to Barcelona. Every club, I'm talking why Brentford, though, are saying via the media, they're quoting what United have already spent because they're negotiating with Manchester United. I'm sure if Mbeumo would have picked you, Brentford wouldn't be saying, well, Man United have already paid this for Cunha. We want the same. Well, how do I know that? Because you rarely hear other clubs' names mentioned in these scenarios when they're not involved in the transfer dealing. But the point I was making is you guys have spent £456 million since 2021 on players. According to Transfermarkt, that is £154 million over the market value, which means by and large, Newcastle spent 51% over the market value for the past 4 years. So based on your own logic, like to act like, this happens a lot in history. I'm not going to explain the conflict I'm talking about. I don't want to offend anybody, but people like to take a 50, 60 year problem and go, it started 3 years ago. I think you can all understand where I'm coming from, right? This was the reason we're in this situation. And it's what you're doing now. You're taking a situation with Mbeumo and Cunha and going, it's inflating and distorting the market. The market in the Premier League teams have been distorting the market ever since Blackburn Rovers in the early 90s started paying above the odds for people. Then you had Newcastle doing it. United followed suit. Then Chelsea came along and absolutely rewrote the history books on that, and everybody else followed it. The idea that suddenly in 2025, Man United are distorting the transfer market when your own club has paid £150 million above market value for players in the past 3 to 4 years to become a Champions League team, it's crazy talk. All of our clubs do it.
I love a good argument. I
think you're using a false parallel. So you're just you're comparing apples and oranges. For instance, Newcastle's first 5 transfers players that we bought: Kieran Trippier, Dan Burn, Bruno Gyökeres, and Chris Wood. You tell me right now we're distorting the market value with those 5 players. That's not what's happening. You guys have bought 2 players in the opening week, in the opening 4 or 5 days of this transfer window, and you got them over the line. You don't get that by just saying we're Man United and our pool is so incredible. That's how we got these players. You get it by overpaying the premium price and overpaying for wages in order to get them off, because you have to compensate those players. You have to compensate those players.
Are we paying over the odds though? So
yes.
Nobody. The reason I say that is this: the release clause for Matheus Cunha at £62 million has been well documented for the best part of 12 months. Yeah. I have seen, and maybe you can point me to the article
6 months
or the debates. I heard some of it last summer.
He signed the contract in the January transfer window, so it's 6 months.
Okay. So let's say it's 6 months in. I'll bow to your superior knowledge on that. For the last 6 months.
News.
Okay, that's fine. Again, I didn't see that, so I'm just saying I'll bow to your knowledge on it. I'm agreeing with you. Show me the fan debates. Show me the call-ins where everybody's outraged that 62 million for Cunha is going to distort the market. Because what I saw was multiple teams, Arsenal being one of them, in January going, fucking pay it now, we'll win the league. Nobody in January was going, no, Arsenal, don't do that, because you're going to distort the market for the rest of us. Nobody was.
But I don't understand your argument. It doesn't make sense.
That's irrelevant to my point, because for me, people were saying the £62 million for a player of Cunha's level, of his performances, of his ability, seemed the fair price.
Yes, they were.
Now United are getting him. It seemed crazy. On Brian and Bumo.
Who bid?
You're right. You're right. You're right. Let me just finish. You're right. The £50 million is the price that I've seen connected to United as well, the same as Newcastle. So far, Man United have bid 45 million as a guarantee, 10 million in add-ons, which will include him scoring a lot of goals, us getting back into the Champions League. So far, all we've bid is below that market value that you've mentioned.
Yeah.
And in terms of the salary, at the end of the day, these two players have both been universally praised for the last 2 to 3 seasons consistently by the majority of football fans.
Yeah.
And Bomo can start for 95% of the teams in the Premier League. He's just off the back of a 20-goal a season campaign. Forget what TalkSport have said. I don't believe that he's going to be on £250,000 a week. I think it'd be more 170, 180. I don't think that's an extortionate amount of money to turn around to a player and say, we want you, after all the praise you've had, the goals you've scored, to lead the line for the second most valuable football club in the world at the beginning of a rebuild to try and take us back to where we want to be. Okay. I don't think £180,000 a week is crazy money, considering the likes that the people that he's replacing, like the Sanchos, the Antonys, the Rashfords, we're all on 80 to 100 to £150,000 a week, more than that. So we're actually lowering our wage bill at the same time as potentially improving our squad. So
can I come back on that?
I don't think we're distorting anything.
Okay, I'll come back on that. So in terms of Cunha, Arsenal never bid for him. They might have made an inquiry like every other team did. Only Man, I think they looked at it and said, "Ooh, 62 million for Cunha." They said
his release clause wasn't active in January. He signed the contract in February, so there wasn't a release clause in January.
So they had the release clause. I'm saying that nobody's bid for him. Nobody apart from Man. Let me just finish because he did say something. So nobody bid for Cunha, hence supply and demand. A great case last summer. Elise, 4-5 teams, Chelsea, including ourselves, Bayern Munich, all triggered his release clause. So that is market value because there's buyers for it. Wolves can set whatever market value they want. Nobody has to meet it. If there's no buyers, they have to lower it. Crystal Palace didn't have to lower Elise's market value because there was 3, 4, maybe even 5 teams that were looking for him. That's all very well documented. We even triggered it. And matched Bayern Munich. We're not going to get it. It's Bayern Munich, but that's how much we valued the player. Hence why we did it in the first place. And in terms of wage demands, you can pay him what you want, but you can't necessarily just say, we're Man United, we're paying these wages. That could be an argument. But the other argument I would say is, you went to Kunle and you said, we know you can play Champions League this year, but we haven't got Champions League. We're 15th. And you're doing the rescue operation, and we need you right now. So we're going to pay you over the odds in order to get you over the line. That's the other argument, which I think what persuaded him over the line.
Which by the way, I'm absolutely fine with. For me as a Man United fan,
so that's exactly.
For me as a Man United fan, we have, whether people like this or not, the reason we're able to pay these wages is because of over 130 years of success and the greatness and the fame and the fortune that we have developed as a football club. And even at our lowest, we still have these capabilities. I don't know how many of these shows I sat on until I was blue in the lips explaining to people this notion that United was so financially crippled that we were done forever. It was one of the most embarrassing takes from the media that I've ever seen in my life. Now, we're not flush. We're not walking around being able to spend willy-nilly, but the idea there was going to be no money was crazy based on the fact that we lowered the wage bill by 60 to 70 million pound last year. Therefore, there is surplus money to spend on players now. Your point about no one else being in for a player, though, where this logic is flawed, is what are Liverpool paying for Gyökeres, Tom?
40 to 45.
So his market value is, I'm just going to get you his market value right now is 37 million pound. Okay, so I'm taking all these market values from transfermarkt.co.uk because it's one of the only places that actually has them on there. So we may all disagree, but just so we've got like a baseline. So they're going to pay slightly above his market value, as Manchester United have done with Cunha. but nobody else is bidding for Gyökeres. Does that mean he's an average player? Does that mean he's a bust? No, it's because it's obvious. The same as Turkey with City right now. The same as no one's. Ait Nouri must be a bad player, you know, because nobody else is trying.
I didn't say that you're making a false argument.
Please let me finish. People do this all this thing to Man United. It's well, no one else is bidding for him. It must be a red flag. Well, no one else is bidding for Gyökeres. No one else is bidding for Ait Nouri. Well, if there was more clubs in for him, Terry, there'd be a bidding war, and maybe the price would be even higher. Yes, but there's certain players. Mbeumo's one of them. Kunle is another. Gyökeres is one for Liverpool. There's a couple that are going to City right now. They are essentially telling their agent, I only want that club. So tell everybody, and that's what's happened with the Man United here. Mbeumo has told Newcastle, he's told Tottenham, he's told Forest, he's told Arsenal, no matter how big their inquiries were, how advanced they were, I want to go to Man United. Thank you, but no thank you. So it's nothing to do with, well, nobody else is in for him, so it's a problem with the market. It's to do with the fact that Man United have convinced that player to come. Some of it is financial. I'm never going to back away from that, but all the big clubs attract people with very good finances at the end of the day. And we are still an attractive proposition to people. Rivals don't like to hear it, but I've had this conversation since 2014 on the Football Terrace and on other platforms. United lost their pool. United have lost their pool. Okay. 11 years later, people are still saying the same honestly, it's crazy.
Terry, can I come back on that? No, just one minute. No, because I need to respond to it, because I think Terry's making an argument that I'm not making. You're kind of speaking to everybody else and speaking to me. I've never said Mbeumo or Kunle are bad players. We've had a discussion about Mbeumo. When he was linked to Newcastle, you said that, you remember when we had it with Dan Potts, you said that we were favourites. I said to you, we're not favourites. I don't think we were favourites. That was our conversation. Also, in terms of Kunle, I didn't say that he was a bad player. I'm not saying that Man United don't have Paul. I'm not saying that. So you're making an argument, a strawman argument that I am not making.
Well, so explain it a bit, because what I did say is I did say I'm talking in generals here. We're hearing multiple, not from you, but we're hearing multiple things at the same time. Suddenly, players aren't good enough. Why is nobody else in for them?
I didn't say that.
Yeah, I know you didn't. I quite clearly addressed that and said that there's a multitude coming in from rivals in general. I didn't say you said that, but yeah, your point about us overpaying and distorting the market, I still push back on, though, because the market being distorted didn't start in June 2025. It's been going on for the better part of 35, 40 years.
Okay, so like I've said, in terms of, I understand what you're saying in terms of the market being distorted, people having to overpay. We're going into this January transfer window. Teams, it's not just Man United. There's 3 clubs, most active clubs at the moment: Man City, Chelsea, and Man United. You're trying to get these clubs, especially in City's cases, and obviously now Liverpool, you're trying to get players in before the Club World Cup, especially in City's case, because they're competing it. In Chelsea's case, they're competing it. The only way you can get them over the line this quickly is to overpay. There's nothing wrong with saying that. But people are kind of saying it. You're saying we have got no pool. You're saying these players are average. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you're deliberately overpaying for these players to get them in early.
So what was so
I know what's going on. I know what's going on.
Go on, Kunle.
Go on, Kunle.
I know what's going on. Toon, you're my guy. You are my guy. But it's clear that I can hear the pain in your voice. You can finally realize that winning the Carabao Cup doesn't bring Paul to Newcastle.
And you're not listening.
No, I'm hurt because
you're not listening.
That's one of the reasons why you really missed out on an Mbeumo. Do you get what I'm saying? The Paul's not quite there.
No, because if you watch the show,
maybe we get some money and a trophy.
For instance, you know why Terry? Why Terry is quiet on that point? Because we had a show on Straight Facts where I was asked about Mbeumo when it was believed that Newcastle were favourite about Mbeumo, and I said, look, I think he's a good player. I was actually rating Madueke. If you told me it's Madueke, for instance, in my personal case, then what you're saying, Kunle, is correct. You can banter me about not having Paul and there's a bigger club and all of that. And I understand all of that. But that's not my point. And it falls short for me personally because I don't rate Mbeumo as highly as that to be able to say that.
But that's where I think the crux in this argument, I wasn't silent on it. I was just letting you guys talk. For me, just to address your last point before we go to the super chats and move on to Gyokeres, and obviously want to hear from Tom and Kate as well, is I don't think you're entitled to your opinion that you think we've overpaid. a couple of quick questions. What do you think is the maximum that the club should be paying for Mboma on a transfer?
Well, in terms of, Brentford can set the price. They said they're at 50 million pounds.
But what do you consider to be the maximum before it becomes overpaying?
It's overpaying at over 50 million pounds. So that's paying over the premium. The premium is 50 million pounds.
So if Man United spent the base, not the add-ons, the base, because the add-ons are if he does even better than we expect.
Yes.
So if we get him for 50 million guaranteed or
so
less.
what you bid now, I agree with. Cool.
Okay.
I've never argued against that. That's cool. If I'm talking about me and KJ started argument on 60 million pounds, I said that's overpaying.
But
what you bid now is correct. I'm with it.
What I was going to say is you've got to remember Spurs paid 45 million for Brennan Johnson, and Mbeumo is a far superior player to Brennan Johnson. So I think I don't think you're giving. I can't think of the words I want to say. Players these days, you're going to pay that sort of money for an Mbeumo. I don't think 60 million is either overpriced for him. I think he's worth that. I would be over the moon if we bought him for 60 million.
Also, Brentford's asking price was on the basis that it was Newcastle and it was only Newcastle. When you have the opportunity to create a bit of a bid more, because if it was just 50 million, you'd go for it. But that doesn't mean Man United are necessarily overpaying and ruining the market in that basis, because Brentford want a bidding more, because every single one of our clubs at some point in time had an asking price. There was loads of clubs that wanted them and went, you know what, we'll bump it up then and we'll see who really wants them. Just because your club has a line which they won't cross in terms of the price doesn't mean that it's necessarily overpaying in that basis.
And that's where the real pain is.
The other part of the argument is, United are overpaying to get them in early. Terry, are United in this Club World Cup?
No.
So it's not like United need to get them in because we've got this Club
Dave
World
said
Cup.
It themselves for pre-season. That's getting them early. Dave said it themselves.
Every club gets some signings before.
But again, the thing where I disagree is this. If you said, I don't like overpaying for players, I've called it out for years. Oh, it's not my money. I don't care. But if you said to me by the end of this window, we'd have overspent by a total of 9 million pounds, 10 million pound maybe on players, but all 6-7 signings are in before pre-season, I think that extra 10 million pounds to have everybody in from the 1st of July would be better than what we normally do, which is our main signings turning up 2 or 3 weeks into the season and not even being up to speed until the November. So again, when you're talking about overpaying, I think you're looking at this from a very subjective, personal view as a Newcastle fan and as a football fan in terms of how you view things. From Man United's perspective, I don't believe we are overpaying. Why? Last summer with players like Branthwaite, we went to a certain level. Once we hit our maximum, we walked away. If we're happy to continue negotiating, then we don't think we're overpaying. And I'm relatively comfortable with that. Look, let's go to some of these super chats here because there's a lot of them on this subject. Yes, I have said. By the way, if you guys are wondering, this was Toon Tactics earlier on TalkSport. Let's take a little listen.
We're the richest club in the world, but we're not allowed to spend because Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Tottenham decided they'll make the rules. They'll decide who can compete. They'll decide who can spend, and they'll decide who cannot spend.
That's not technically true, mate.
It's true.
Peter, stop shouting at us, Peter.
You know, I love about that clip now. Now that it's been voted, the loopholes are staying in. It just proves that Man United don't. I was saying to everyone today, can you actually imagine the power of Newcastle's owners globally, the power of City's owners globally? The idea they're being controlled by people that are worth a fraction of their wealth and have a fraction of their power is so funny to me. When you actually like your owners at Newcastle and City's owners legitimately have armies. They own armies and they think they're scared of the man that owns Walmart. Fuck off. Do you know what I mean? It's like our bollocks, right? But let's go to some more super chats here. Yes, we have seen the guy on TalkSport. We overpay regardless, perks of being a huge club. But the thing is, Ginger Bish, I think most clubs do. I started looking at it because of the argument that KJ and Toon Tactics were having. And when you actually look at the market value, most clubs pay over market value for players. So so for me, that's why I'm not going to sit here and suddenly have Man United chastised as the bastards of this window. Brentford, no Newcastle are just minnows. Apologies to the Magpie fans for taking Mbeumo, is what Ginger Bish says here. Toon, didn't you overpay for an unproven
Yes,
Isak?
so great point. So that's the point that KJ made to me. Because actually, if anybody kind of noticed the history of that is, Isak wasn't our original signing. It was João Pedro. We were going to buy João Pedro for 30 million from Watford. He was meant to be the understudy to Callum Wilson, and I think it's the final week of that particular transfer window. Callum Wilson, he's known for, got himself a hamstring. As a result of that, we said we can't buy an understudy to lead our line. We have to break the bank and go and buy Isak and trigger his release clause, which nobody in the football world was triggering because they said it's too high for him. Yes, we overpaid. I own that and accept that.
But did you condemn Newcastle for damaging everybody else's?
There was no one to condemn. I didn't have a YouTube channel. There was nobody to condemn.
That old chestnut. Can you do it now though, please? Can you sit here and say that? Sorry. Can you apologise on behalf of your club for just?
It was the final. It was actually the final week of the transfer window. So nobody actually. If you can tell me a striker who was paid after the Isak. If someone had to overpay for a striker in the Premier League, I'll let you know.
Well, I'm blaming you for Kunle. Because if you guys would have paid the right price for Isak, there is a possibility we would have got Kunle for less, bruv. I'm blaming you. Butterfly effect, isn't it? I watched that film.
No, that's what KJ did. That's what KJ did. That's KJ's argument. So
if you weren't ever linked with Isak, maybe my club wouldn't have spent 80-odd million on Darwin Núñez. Maybe Isak.
You ruined Liverpool, man.
You bought Núñez before you bought Isak. You bought Núñez before we bought Isak.
There were rumours around Isak, and it was release clause only. So we have to go
Newcastle, you ruined it, man. You guys ruined it.
Such a genuine argument. It's great.
Terrible. 55 to 60 million for a 20 goal plus 7 assist attacker is overpaying. I just disagree. Yeah, I disagree. And it's also he's been brilliant for years. I think it's a very fair price.
Did he pay that? Did he get those numbers 2 years ago?
He's been getting better and better, hasn't he?
Yeah. So he's hit his peak. We can go.
You want him, though. You want Mbeumo, right? No. Tactics. You actually want Mbeumo, though, right?
Go back.
So why are you trying to shit on his stats?
You sound like a man.
You want him at your club, but you're shitting
and he's like, oh.
Well, that's where Terry, you're lying. You don't like liars because me and you did a straight back show.
That's what you sound like now. You were very honest on that show. Now you're sounding like a man who got scorned. It's changed.
I don't understand it though.
No, we did it in your tone, bro.
They said
three
that
forms of communication.
My apologies. I didn't mean it like that. Sorry, my apologies.
Your tone is saying frustration and
maybe it's more to do
Man United. Why?
No. So it's more. Maybe to do more to the argument rather than Mbeumo. But I rate him. Like, look, I rate Mbeumo. Got no problems with getting Mbeumo. I think the first thing I did in the WhatsApp group is shake you guys' hands and congratulate you.
Wait, if you got him for 60 mil, would you be complaining?
Say then.
If you bought him for 60 mil, here we go. Would you be complaining?
I'll be really shocked that we did that. And I would be
really shocked.
He didn't say.
He said he'd really shocked.
I'll be really shocked.
Yes, yeah, no. So I would be. Yes, okay, fine.
We need you in that.
You know why I'll be shocked? Okay, I'll be complaining because we just spent 3 transfer windows not being able to buy a first-team player because we overpaid for players, and that's hence why I'll be shocked because we're doing the same thing again.
Hold on, Terry. Did I ask him whether he'd be really shocked?
Okay, I'll be complaining.
Thanks for telling me.
Fine, I'll be complaining. Absolutely.
So let's just test that theory for a minute, right? Because we can test it pretty soon. Let's go and look at Madueke. You're linked to Madueke, right?
Yes.
So Madueke's current market value is 40 million euros. So that's 33 million. You're linked to paying 60 million for him, right?
Mm-hmm. This is what started the argument. Yeah.
So Man United are being condemned for maybe paying 2, 3, 4, 5 million over market value. You're complaining about that. You must be. Well, it depends. Right now we've bid. Hang on a minute. Right now we have bid 5 million below the market value, and we're already being condemned. Right? Your opening link
condemning you.
You have been. Your opening link, right? Your opening link to Madueke is you're almost paying double his market value. You must be protesting for that one. You must be
you're not being genuine. You're not being genuine at all.
Oh no, I'm being facetious on purpose. I admit that.
Oh, why? You're not making the point. It's just dead in your argument. If you were being genuine, I'll take it seriously.
Again, but I don't need. It's not a serious subject for me. I don't.
So I just spent 40 minutes on it.
Well, no, the Madueke point. I'm having a bit of fun with it. It's a bit of fun.
Okay.
It's a bit of fun. But if you do spend 60 million on him, how angry will you be?
Oh, I'll be fuming. I'll be through the roof.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah.
It was common knowledge that Kunle only wanted United, so why would anyone else bid for him? This is true. Bitter and delusional rival fans is what KG's beard stylist says here. Toon's a good guy, to be fair. I'll back Toon's a great guy. Haaland's release clause from Dortmund was 75-ish million. No, it was 52 million, I think, mate.
Yeah, it was about 54 million.
Yeah, nobody else bid for him, including, according to your logic, City should have paid 50 million for him then. Tell S clauses mean you either pay it or go to, what does GTFO mean?
Get the fuck out.
Get the fuck out. Yeah.
Okay.
Who are the top 5 under 12? We'll come back to that later, bro. We'll come back to that later. Bro, you're hurting. Own it. It's fine.
Absolutely.
It's okay to smile.
Absolutely.
United aren't distorting the market, but they are still making the same mistakes they have since Fergie left. You just refuse to see it. How long will it continue? I mean, who think, just a general quick question, because we've got a lot to get through tonight. Are Man United making mistakes with these 2 signings?
No. You can't
on paper. We can't judge in the games yet, but
you're making less of a mistake than in the past. You're making a more secure bet than in the past. In the past, the mistake was you were buying players who weren't proved in the league on very high wages because they'd been good elsewhere. Now you're buying at least players who've been proved in the league on very high wages. So you've at least got one of the hurdles out the way of, he might come into the Premier League and not adapt, like a Sancho or an Anthony, etc. Now they can at least handle the league. So
yeah,
they shouldn't be as big a mistake on that basis.
Do you mean from a game point of view or financial point of view? Like when you say make a mistake on the players?
I think he just means buying players that aren't going to improve us. That's my assumption.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Such a politician, too.
Why?
I love how you dissected it. I love it. I love it.
Newcastle fan is bitter. You are still the wee little club, Fergie said a few years ago. Frustrating for Newcastle fans that nobody cares about them.
I'll demonstrate my argument in the wrong way. I apologize for that.
Overpaying or overpaying is what it says here. How are Man United ruining the transfer market? They ain't contributing to the snowball effect like Chelsea a few years ago when they signed Caicedo and Enzo, etc.
What was wrong with that, though?
If you set a price for Isak, you would want more money.
I don't understand the point of the question. Like,
well, so I get what he's saying here. So let's just check that out. So Isak's market value is 120 million euros. So your logic dictates about distorting the market that if your club accepts anything more than 101 million pounds, you would condemn them
as the sellers. So they're the sellers, right? So we can set the price at 100 million pounds, right?
Yeah.
If people choose not to buy him and we want to sell him, what happens? The price gets lower, so it doesn't make sense.
The point I'm making is, though, if somebody comes in and bids 130 million, you would tell your club, no, it's got to be 101 because you're distorting the transfer market, right?
No, but I'm the seller in that situation. It's the
you're
buyer.
Still involved in the transaction, aren't you?
No. That's why you're distorting my argument. I'm the seller in that situation. I
hear what you mean by that. Yeah, that makes sense too. Like he's as the seller,
that's what I'm saying. I'm the seller.
The buyer. Yeah.
You're the buyer.
But it's both sides, isn't it? So in the housing market, no, it is, because in the housing market, young people can't afford to buy anymore. It's because the sellers kept on increasing the prices of their properties to sell them to a point where younger people can't afford to buy. So no buyer wants to pay more than £1 for a player. It's the sellers that increase the price, not the buyers, but the buyers are in a position where they've got to improve their teams. So we can't act like the selling club. If we're going to live in your world for a minute, Toon, that buying players over market value distorts the market, let's just all say we agree, right, on that point. We can't suddenly say the sellers and the agents, and by the way, the players that are pushing for these moves aren't a part of that problem. Your clubs are increasing the price above market value. It is both sides. It is both sides in this.
So it's in your world, it's Wolves' fault that you paid 60.
No. I'm not blaming anybody in my world. I've got no issue with it. I don't have an issue.
But that's the word that's what you just said.
I said if we I didn't. No, too. I said if we live in your world, then they're both to blame. My world is I didn't bring this up. It wasn't a talking point.
No. You've put it into my world and said I'm the buyer. It's my fault. And you said it takes two to tango, right?
You have
reverse
said
reverse it back to your world.
When you finish, go on, finish.
So reverse it back to your world. It's you, the buyer, who then distorts the market. I can set the.
It's not my world, though. Tune. Just stop a second. It's not my world. I have no problem with the buyer or seller. This wouldn't have been a talking point unless you brought it up.
I didn't. You brought it up.
No. You in the group chat today. We're talking about distorting the market. Yes.
Me and KJ were talking about.
Yes, and that's why we're talking about this, because of that conversation.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about now. It's about the scenario. Yes, go on.
Yes, but I don't have a problem with the scenario. I'm talking about this, if the distorting of the market is true, both sides of the coin are to blame. I don't believe the stories are true, therefore I'm not blaming anyone.
If you sell your car for $3,000 and you really if you want to sell your grand for $3,000 and there's no buyers, what happens? And you really want to sell your car?
Drop the price.
You have to drop the price. That's all I'm saying.
But there are buyers. But there are buyers.
Yes, you. So that's what I'm saying. So therefore, that's all I was saying.
But Brentford haven't upped the price purely because it's only Man United that return to the table. They've upped the price because there's multiple clubs there.
No. That's the whole point. The original price of 50 million. We weren't matching it.
You are right. If nobody buys a house in England for 50 years, the value of it's going to drop. The problem is, it's not realistic. Football clubs can't not buy players. They have to improve their teams. People retire. People get injuries.
That's an extreme example, yes.
No, but your example was extreme. That if there's no buyers, the price drops. There's never going to be no buyers. Your example will never exist in the reality of football.
No, but that's not my example, Terry. You're just giving me my example.
No, you gave the example. If there's no buyers, the price drops. No one else did.
Yeah, no. If you take my argument at its best, remember what I said to you. You bought the player in the first week of the transfer window. Right. We've still got 2 months to go for the transfer window.
Sorry, we want to get it done right early.
You see, you don't want to hear it. That's all I'm saying.
I don't want to hear it. It's. I think where I'm frustrated at this point of the conversation is, I don't even want to. I would never have thought about this as a subject today until I saw you and KJ talking about it, and your claim was United distorted the market. So it's not my world or my view. I'm just stating that if we're saying that these deals being overpriced are distorting the market, I think both sides of the party are to blame, not just the buyer. Both are involved in that. I just think that's fair.
We disagree, and that's all. We disagree, that's all.
Of course. I get why, and I understand why. Can we talk about how Newcastle paid 40 million for Joe Linton as a striker who scored 12 goals in Germany even before the Saudi money, but in Bomo for 65 million, but we haven't even paid 65 million. We've bid 55 so far. So I don't even know why you're even putting that in there. It's crazy. Has got 20 plus league goals in the Prem, is overpaying somehow.
Yeah, we were wrong. And do look at Newcastle's spending and how much we spent. Every Newcastle fan was surprised at that. Yeah. Is Lukaku the best Prem proven player post Fergie? No. Lukaku.
I mean, I'd probably give the edge to Mata. So he's talking about the United players that United afterwards. Okay. So like Matic, who's your competition? You've got Matic, you've got Lukaku, you've got Mata. Can't necessarily think of anyone else after that off the top of my head. I'd go Mata personally. I thought Mata was quite good for United for a number of years.
Yeah, probably Mata. With the new players coming in, how patient will you be with Amorim any system? For example, if United struggle in the first few games, that's fine. But you need to create timelines for me and define the struggling. I can't answer that question without more information. So he's struggling. If we win one in our first 10 games, he's got a big problem. If we sign another 4, 5, 6 players of this level that we're currently looking at, if we win 5, lose 3, draw 2, but look really good in the games, but we've still got holes, it's very different. So performances matter. I need more variables to answer that question.
Okay, so let me ask you a question then, Terry. If you have a similar, your first 2 months of next season are the same as your last 2 months of this season, does he have to go? In terms of results, not performances, just results.
What are the performances saying?
You have some decent performances, but in terms of how you're losing games, you're losing the same amount of games you're losing in the last 2 months of last season.
Have we replaced Onana? Have we got a new midfielder? Have we got Gyokeres? Have we got those players in yet?
You've got a midfielder. I'm not specific on Gyokeres because he might be going to North London. But something like that.
So yeah, if we had all those players in, new goalkeeper and everything, and we were still getting the same results the last 2 months, there'd be massive pressure on him to get sacked. Yeah, 100%. But if we sign these 2 players and then nobody else, then no. So I have to wait for all the variables before I give an answer. Terry, why don't you like when people don't agree with you? It's not about not agreeing. I'm absolutely fine with.
It's not
Phil
that. It's not that.
Seeing it a different way. What I don't like, or it's not what I don't like, it's more about pushing back on is when Phil said I'm in your world, and I'm like, it's not my world. This whole debate is in your world. So that's all weird. It's trying to. This is not about not liking it when people don't agree with you. It's about like 2 grown men having a conversation and talk. Sometimes it gets a little bit heated and a bit frustrating, but it's like you're trying to make each other see each other's stance. I don't expect Phil to think like me, and he doesn't expect me to change my mind. It's seeing each other's stance, and you get there, my friend. So yeah, it's not about wanting people to agree with me. It's just being confused sometimes.
I've got to be honest, you 2 have had this debate for an hour, and I have no idea why it's even a debate. I can honestly say
I don't know who's through the market.
United are buying 2 real shit players. They're buying 2 Premier League proven good players. I don't understand what the debate's been about for the last 50 minutes.
I didn't say they were bad players.
Yeah.
Basically,
I'm just glad Michael being blamed
pay
through in the market. We're the ones paying 130 million quid for someone.
Yeah. That's it. This is Terry's right. Smaller clubs need to learn to just say no if they don't get what they want to sell, and stop trying to price players out. Big clubs also need to stop matching it. The problem that you have is, it works in it's the problem that you have is once a sort of cycle was started, it's hard to stop it. So, for instance, the housing market in the UK, we all want housing prices to come down unless you own a house. Unless you own a house, and then you don't want it to come down, and you can't have it come down too much because then a lot of people will be in negative equity and their lives will be ruined. So, it isn't as simple as that. A lot of clubs, like smaller clubs, rely on bigger clubs wanting and needing players to keep big money coming in. So it's an industry. A lot of clubs, like Lyon's whole business model is to develop young players and sell them. So if everybody stopped wanting to buy players, clubs like Lyon could go out of business. So it's not as simple.
That's why they've struggled so much this year financially, and they've had to start.
It's a reductionist argument. That's why I say both parties are responsible for the distorted market that we live in, and we see it outside of it. We know if a German team tries to buy a player from an Italian team, they might get him for 30 million euros. Any Premier League player goes in for club goes in for the same guy, they go 50 million because they know how much cash we have over here. Like again, so they distort the market and the asking price, but our clubs still need the players to improve their teams because they want to stay in the Premier League. So it becomes almost like a bit of a poison chalice in that way. United bought Prem Proven and went from 6th to 2nd in 2018. BS, the old United buys Xavi Simons, not Mbomo. Cry more.
Xavi Simons is too young for what the old United buy. Who's an older number 10?
Yeah, I hear that. I want to move on from this debate because it was another part of the Man United conversation, but it leads into Arsenal as well. A big report this afternoon, Kunle, from Ben Jacob that Victor Gyokeres wants a move. He's very open to a move, very encouraged by a move to Manchester United. Personal terms supposedly wouldn't be a problem. All this talk of 300k a week he's demanding, not just from United, but other clubs, has been played down as folly. That's a massive exaggeration in the mainstream media. But how do you think Man United will do in this pursuit of an Arsenal target in Victor Gyokeres?
This is a weird one for me because I honestly believe if we both go at him at the same, we win that battle just because of we're in the Champions League, etc. That's what I believe. But I don't know, man. It's a weird one. I can't see why you'd want to go to Man United right now when they still haven't figured out what's going on in terms of the place he's in his career, in terms of being a complete kind of like in his peak years. It would make sense to go to a ready-made team rather than a team that's finished 16th that we still don't technically know their style of play and not 100% what they're going to do in the summer. I honestly believe if we both go in for him at the same pace, we win that battle very easily. But with all the talk with Gyökeres, it's starting to make it seem in the press that Sesko is the number one target. So I don't know, Terry. It's a bit mad the way conversations and arguments are going on around both those players now. So with Man U's interest, and let's talk about Man U now. You'd maybe try and believe that maybe Arsenal are more interested in Sesko, but it could also be the pressures trying to manipulate us Arsenal fans because we get rattled and excited.
No, you guys are rattled right now. I'm not going to lie. It's mad. It's Wild West out there right now of Arsenal fans.
And they keep throwing like smoke on the fire, and then everyone's it's just crazy. Right?
Kate, what do you make of it? And to read what was said by Ben Jacobs, he was on with me yesterday, and it's kind of evolved slightly since then as well. His words were, did I bookmark it? Because I don't, when you don't want to misrepresent what somebody has said. Sorry, I didn't do it here. He said that what he said here is Victor Gyökeres is very open to joining Manchester United even without Champions League football. There's been no official approach to Sporting yet, but Ruben Amorim has been in contact regularly with the player. Sporting are willing to sell for around 70 million euros, and it's believed personal terms will not be a problem between the player and the club. United have also gone from the fifth favourites with the bookmakers to joint first with Arsenal now. Do you think this is something that Man United could pip Arsenal to, or do you just think that the allure of the Champions League and where Arsenal sit right now in the grand scheme of things will help them?
I still think Arsenal are going to get Sesko, or whatever you say his name. So I see Gyökeres possibly going to Man United, which grinds my gears because I'd love Spurs to come in for him. I know everyone will laugh at me in the chat because it'd never happen, but we've got Champions League. But I think I said it on the last show I was on. I think it's disingenuous to say Man United haven't got Paul anymore. They're still Manchester United at the end of the day. And look, if he said he's open to going, even without Champions League, I mean, I assume because of PSR, you're going to have to sell the likes of Rashford, Anthony, Sancho, all these players to get the money in to buy these players because you're buying players left, right, and centre. Is that fair or not? Have you got the money just sitting there?
Well, I mean, all the news came out today that we're actually fifth best place in the league when it comes to PSR, which I'm not surprised by because the owner pumped in £230 million. It's the most amount of money that's ever been pumped into our club in our history. We obviously did the redundancies. There was ticket price increases, and we saved it's the better part of £50 million this year from the sale of particular players that were on crazy wages and loaning players out. And I didn't, as much as we've been pleading poverty in that time, I did say on a regular basis, I don't think we're as poor as we're making out. Not that people didn't need to be made redundant, not that we weren't in financial difficulties, but it was a case of, I think they're going to resolve them because I've always felt that Man United were bloated in terms of just overpaying and having too many staff and not needing everybody there. And that's turned out to be the case at the end of the day that we were. And I keep saying it's not nice that people lost their jobs.
Wait, what was the psychologist getting again? There was
there was a body language. I mean, there was an article.
Body language
expert.
Yeah. You understand the year as a body language expert. Yeah. You're taking his easy job away from him.
And as I said before, it's not nice that anyone lost their jobs, and I'm not celebrating that action. The real crime was we were increasing our revenue by 100 million a year, but we were increasing our outgoings in staff by 200 million a year. Now, you don't need to be good at business or maths to realize that's the road to ruin. So we had to make these cutbacks, whether people like it or not. We simply had to make these cutbacks. But yeah, PSR position seems pretty good. I think only
I can see it. You know what?
I think this whole, but on the other side, I think this whole transfer window is a game as well because it could very much be his agent trying to get his player the money. Like Arsenal say they're not playing, so let's get excited about United and see if they're going to offer the money. I don't know. It could be it's just me speculating, but I think it is all a game, and all we can do is discuss it and talk about it. But I can't see if we're both going in for him picking United. I can't see a scenario where that happens. The only way United win is if we go for Sesko, in my opinion.
He might be sitting there looking at this thinking Arsenal wants Sesko, whereas Man United actually haven't said about anyone else except me. And, if footballers have got egos, he might just feel like he's wanted more there. I don't know.
Maybe.
I've spoken
on old Gyökeres there as well, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, I've spoken on Gyökeres before in terms of when he was first linked to Arsenal. I do think it's a proper when it was linked to Arsenal, and it's the same for any team. I think it's a high risk signing because of the league that he's come from. I feel like his numbers are inflated because of the league he's come from. I think his agent has done a fantastic job in kind of creating a hype around Gyökeres. It doesn't mean that he's not a good player. I just think that his qualities have been inflated by his agent and the hype around him. In my point of view, I think Arsenal, in my point of view, have seen through that and have gone through it for the better player. In my opinion, it doesn't mean he's not going to do well. It doesn't mean that he's average. It doesn't mean that he's not a quality player, or he won't be a quality striker for Man United or whoever he comes in for. I just don't believe he's as good as being portrayed to people at this moment in time.
The damage Darwin Núñez has done to that league's reputation will be studied for generations.
Really?
Honestly. If this striker was doing this in I don't know what other leagues, Eredivisie, if Victor Gyökeres was getting near on 50 goals a season in the Eredivisie, people would still pay for him, even after the Anthony stuff, because for some reason it's the Ajax and this, that, and the other. But Núñez and the damage he has done in the Premier League since joining has put anyone off Victor Gyökeres, who's done better numbers, and there's a more safe bet because of his previous experience. I don't see why teams are nervous about him. I'll be honest, I don't think he goes United. I think if he doesn't go Arsenal, I think there'll be a big European club that goes for him. I think there'll be like a Napoli.
He's going to Man United. I think he's going to Man United.
I think there'll be a big European club that's going to take the gamble on him.
So I didn't,
a little bit more secure.
I didn't catch that. Sorry, Tom.
I just think he'll go to like a bigger European club, so like a Napoli or an Atleti or a team like that.
Did you say Napoli a bigger European club than Man United? Is that what you're saying, Tom?
A more secure in that sense. Napoli just won a league title.
No, I think
Man United got 15th on the last day of the season.
No,
I think the situations are a little bit different.
I think he's going to, honest, because I think he's been put out that he's going to a Premier League club. I really think he's going to Man United. I think I put it in the WhatsApp group yesterday, a couple of days ago. I think he's going to go to Man United.
Is it that because you're quite confident Arsenal will probably go for Sesko? Is that?
I'm very confident. I think Arsenal were always going for Sesko, in my opinion. We're always going for Sesko. It's never changed from.
You see this Sesko thing, yeah? I'm not jumping on the bandwagon. I'm not doing it. Because Terry remembers me at the start of the season. I was a no. So I'm not going to just automatically be a yes now just because it seems like we're like gearing towards him. Like all my fan base are trying to convince me of all these freaking montages and all these different clips and tricks, and he can jump really high, higher than Cristiano and all
that's
that.
That's the best one. You show a compilation of him jumping dead high in his celebrations, and that's why you jump on him.
When has that ever been a reason to sign a player because he jumps higher than Cristiano Ronaldo? I hear it. For me, he's too raw. For me, I reckon I don't know, man. I'm not trying to get sucked into all this nonsense, but I want Gyokeres. If we end up with Sesko, I believe it's an L for us personally. I'm ready as a fan to be proved wrong. I'm all for it, but I prefer Gyokeres.
Sorry. I know you've said it on other shows, Phil. Could you explain to the audience watching right now why you rate Sesko above Gyokeres? A lot of them are asking for your breakdown on that.
Oh, okay. So I think in terms of Sesko, he's 21, 22 years old. He's had already 200 senior appearances and scored 103 goals. He's also scored in the goals scored in the Champions League. I think part of the why his numbers in the Bundesliga have been so low is because his team has performed very, very, very badly. And it's the first time in, I think, in 8 years, something like that they haven't got into Europe. But having said that, he still got the goal return that he got. I think the main comparison, the main difference between him and Gyokeres is you'll see on their heat map that Sesko has been spending less time in the penalty box. Hence why he's scored less goals. If you see when he has seasons when he spends more time in the penalty box, he scores more goals. If you look at Gyokeres, and it's not Gyökeres' fault, I'm just kind of giving it as it is. He's played for the best team in Portugal, and you'll see again in Gyökeres' heat map, he's very much spending a lot of time in the goals, which is what he's supposed to do as a striker. But he's in a quality team where he's able to do that. So there's a lot more chances and everything that's been created for him, which to his credit, he is obviously doing really well at. But I think the main argument has been is that Sesko must not be good, or what I've seen, Sesko must not be good because he hasn't scored as many goals as Mr. Gyokeres. But I think there are kind of reasons with that. So I think you have to combine a lot of things. And I think obviously Sesko has played in a more competitive and more tougher league than what Gyokeres has had. So there's no guarantees with it. I just feel like when I look at both, I can see what Arsenal have gone for Gyokeres, and you can also see for Gyokeres, for Sesko. I think Gyökeres also, he's going to go into a high possession team in Arsenal. He's going to have to spend a lot more time in the box, and his ability in the air. He's got slightly better close control in the box. I think he'll do a lot more. I think that's why Arsenal didn't go for Ivan Toney, for instance, when Ivan Toney was being linked to them, and people were saying, "Why don't you go for Ivan Toney?" Ivan Toney's in terms of they didn't think that he would be as good in the box as would Sesko is. So,
don't you think because of, even though we probably won't see him play for Arsenal again, in terms of the likes of Jesus and Havertz, I think Sesko has a little bit more similar attributes to them strikers as opposed to Gyökeres. So by bringing in a Gyökeres, we have some different options now in the attacking in terms of styles of forward. So that's why I think we might do it, because Gyökeres is completely different to Havertz. Whereas even though I think Sesko is a better striker than Havertz, they have quite a few similar attributes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think Havertz isn't a striker though, and my understanding that he was
in terms of his link up and stuff. So like that's what I mean.
So
he's still going to be
Sesko he's a classic forward. He's not a link up guy. Like that's why I think you're going for a different.
Yeah, but he's been dropping a lot more deeper this season
because his team has been awful. His team has been awful.
I have a big problem.
So not because he's been given that command to drop deeper, no, it's because
I think it's because his team has not been good.
Well, we're speculating.
I think
yeah.
Though is you look at what Arsenal fans specifically, and I'm going off what Arsenal fans tell me they need. Arsenal fans tell me they create a boatload of chances every game. They just need someone who's going to sit in the penalty area and score them. They don't need all this fancy pants link up, dropping
that ain't
deep,
Sesko, bro.
one of this, that, and the other. I look at Sesko and I see someone who doesn't finish well. I see someone who very rarely picks out the corners. If I look at him line up to shoot, it's always laces. I know I've spoke about him already. Whenever I've seen a Benjamin Sesko video of his shots and of his anything, it feels like I'm watching Nunes without the ponytail. It's the exact same things I was seeing from Nunes at Benfica. The lack of composure. And I'm not saying he can never find that. But Arsenal are not in a situation where they can afford to spend 3 years waiting for a striker to figure out composure. Sesko, I can't remember. I think it was Giuseppe put it in the group chat. A compilation of Sesko's 27 goals for RB Leipzig. And out of all 27, about 3 of them were good finishes. A lot of them were from outside the box, showing he can hit it well. But that's not where Arsenal want the striker to be. They want the striker to be in the box. A lot of them where he's hit it close enough to where I think the keeper should be saving it. And the keeper either got a hand onto it and it went in, or it took a deflection and this, that, and the other. And there were a couple of headers in there. But when I'm looking for Arsenal, going to strike it in the box, and they're going to funnel chances towards him, and he gets half a sniff of goal, and he's going to put it in the net. That's not Sesko. That, to me, is what a Gyokeres can do. Gyokeres, if you look at his ones, he has a goal from pretty much anywhere in the box in his compilations. Now, his problem, he's got no headers. For some reason, despite how big and tall he is, the man doesn't want to head the ball. But he's a much better finisher than Sesko. Now, if I was talking about the Arsenal of 3 years ago, when they just got into the Champions, or they just had their first year of, challenging for the league, and there's still that element of they've got a bit of time, they can afford to have the project come in now, Benjamin Sesko. Because if you make it work, boom, you're going to the top. But Arsenal, with the likes of Saliba, with the likes of Gabriel, Rice, Saka, Odegaard, these players who I don't think will be happy for another 3 years of nearly and almost, and just wait till such and such figures it out, then we'll be fine. There has to be an element of we can't afford the project now. We have to just go for the guarantee, and the guarantee is Gyökeres because he scores goals.
Can I read this here? This comes from a gentleman who's a Daily Mail reporter. This has been shared by @AFC Stuff, and this is his words. It says here that Andre Berta has said, and I want to know whether you think this, and Kunle, I want to go to you first on this, and then Kate, around, is this a concern? He says, Berta is said to admire Victor Gyokeres, but internally views are torn on whether he can hit the ground running in the Premier League. It's understood that Benjamin Sesko is the favoured of the two, but it's more complex. Mikel Arteta is a big Kai Havertz fan and will again use him extensively in the campaign next season. So no new signing will be there to knock Havertz out of the team. it makes Sesko at just 22 ideal in terms of potential growth. And one, is that worrying? Two, could that not answer your, if Gyökeres picked Man United, if that passage is true, that Kai Havertz is the main guy and no new striker outs him, well, wouldn't that then make sense why Gyökeres might pick Man United?
I don't like that. I don't like. Why did you read that statement to me? Why?
Just for context, well, the Athletic have said something very similar to this. I'm just, go on. What's your thoughts on that passage there?
I was okay before that. I'm not gonna lie, Terry. I was okay, but now the way, hearing things like that doesn't sit very well with my body, my system. Because it very much sounds like it's a Sesko thing. Do you get what I'm saying?
Sounds like it's a Havertz thing. It sounds like you're in a
look. In terms of the Havertz thing, I'm, as much as I don't like some of the things my manager does, if someone comes into the team and they start performing well, he'll feel no way to drop Havertz, just like he did drop Jesus for Havertz when he was in form. So I don't have a problem with that. It's the Sesko part that is frustrating me. And Havertz starting as my main 9 in the season, I know that would change when someone else plays. I don't have a problem with that. But the fact that it sounds like the other guy is going to be Sesko, that's my issue.
If anything, that report should have been more worrying, because it was, we're going to pick Sesko on the basis that we can start Havertz and Sesko will throw up less of a fuss. That should be more worrying, because
the fact that it's Sesko that's coming in is my issue.
You need a number 9. You need a starting number 9 who will score you the goals that will get you through the games that you've drawn this year. Kai Havertz has his uses, but Kai Havertz has never and will never be that guy to score the goals in those games to get you over the line. Why are Arsenal consistently missing the fucking point?
But
they're like a toxic girlfriend. Go and buy a striker who scores the fucking goals.
But Tom, the earlier sentences were that Arsenal don't believe that Gyökeres can hit the ground running. So they don't even. I think if you kind of put that together, not only do they believe that Gyökeres can't hit the ground running, but he's also impatient and wants to start anyway. So they don't rate him like that to be able to do that. So if you just concentrate on the last sentence, you think Arsenal just don't want to upset Kai Havertz.
Thank you, Toon, for helping me, trying to help me cope with this situation. I appreciate you.
That's not how I.
The only reason, and this is why I think people miss with the Gyokeres thing. Again, this is the damage Nunes has done. Victor Gyokeres spent 3 years in the Championship. He knows the English game. How many good attackers in the Premier League have come from the Championship? Because I'll tell you what, you actually look into it, it's a surprising amount. The Championship has had a really good knack for developing top-class Premier League players in recent years. So Gyokeres has that experience. So it's not like he's going to come into the Premier League and be like, the physicality, I can't handle it, the pace. The Championship is arguably a more physical, quicker league.
Okay.
He's done it before.
So you agree that Delap is a starting number 9 for Chelsea?
I believe that with the options they've got, he is, yeah.
Nah.
So you believe that Delap is number 1 starting? Okay, so
but Delap is. I mean,
he is.
I give him the number 9.
They've given him the number 9 shirt. It's just been stated as well since we've been live that he will not be going to the under-21s tournament now. He'll be going to the World Club Cup. And Ben Jacobs spoke very bluntly about this 2 weeks running now on the Done Deal show here, that he is the main guy. And although they are talking and looking at Ekitike, they're not necessarily looking at Ekitike as the main number 9. They're looking at it as more maybe support striker, someone that can drift out and play on the left-hand side. Like they have gone, and Man United, listen, I prefer Gyokeres, but Man United went for Delap first. There's something about Delap that a number of teams see as very, very good. And I like Delap. I think there's a really good striker in there, but I'd still go for Gyokeres. The Sesko, sorry?
Terry, like, what? I want the panel to answer this, actually. Sesko or Delap? Who's better?
Delap. Give me Delap every day of the week. Kunle, there is not a single striker on the market that I dislike more than Sesko.
But that's because I can't help but feel.
No, but maybe we're all wrong. You get me, Tom? Maybe we're all wrong. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe we are.
I'm ready to be wrong with this one, I guess. But
I watched a lot of Leipzig because I thought we were going to sign Xavi Simons, so I was trying to watch their games. And Sesko, don't get me wrong, he was still the better striker because that Openda is even worse. But Sesko wasn't any. When I watch Sesko, I'm not sitting there going, "That's it. That's someone who can win a team a Premier League title. That's someone who I trust in the big moments." And you know what? Harp back to. Go back to last Euros.
I'm picking Sesko over Delap, to be fair. I'm not going to lie.
The lap is the more secure option. And I think I'd arguably say for an Arsenal, even though the whole notion is, oh my God, we need to put all the goals towards the striker. If you get a good left winger and then you had a striker that could just be a nuisance up top and create space and run lines and then create the opportunities for the wingers to score, that would arguably be better than gambling on Sesko and taking away your wingers' goal threat because you want to funnel all the chances towards Benjamin Sesko. If it was Gyokeres, it's a different argument. But if you're asking me between Liam Delap, who's got a boatload of championship experience, a really good season in the Premier League for a team that struggled to score goals, which is exactly what Benjamin Sesko's done, but he's done it in the Premier League rather than the Bundesliga.
I don't think he gets double figures for Chelsea next season.
He will. I think
he will. Unless Maresca's got a hard on for Nicholas Jackson, Liam Delap will get minimum 10 Premier League goals.
He'll get 9. He'll get 9.
Right. You'll get 9 and 5 assists, but you never said 10G8 was 10 goals.
Exactly. Exactly.
Kunle, are you Arteta in, Kunle?
Sorry, I can't hear you. Sorry.
When you hear that statement, if I were an Arsenal fan, God forbid, I would think to myself, what is wrong with this guy? We're constantly second. We just need someone to get us over the line, and he's putting his faith in Havertz again. Look, I mean, surely that must put doubts in your mind.
Look, I don't want to repeat where I'm at with this Mikel guy. I don't want to have to repeat this on the stream.
You've got to, because the people in the back didn't hear.
Yeah.
I said at the start of the season, you need a major to keep the job. Season's ended. There's no major, so that's where.
Hold on. You do have a major. You'd have to beat
but he didn't win
times on XG trophy, the biggest honor you could win.
Yeah, so no major for him. So my stance is clear, but I'm not going to be the toxic fan that's going to be coming in every week. Arteta out because I know my club are not getting rid of him. But it's worrying. But do you know what? If he gets me Rodrygo, I can close my eyes on any strike. I'm not gonna lie to you.
That's never gonna happen.
I'm not gonna lie to you. It's not impossible. I think this Club World Cup will be able to decide what is really going with that Rodrygo situation. As in Rodrygo, I know you watch the Terrace, bro. Maybe you need a translator for this part. I don't know how good your English is, but bro, get me? Like you've won everything at Madrid. You've done it there. You're already a big guy, big goals, everything there. Come to England, play in your actual position.
I think if Rodrygo became available, we'd compete with you for him. We'd sell Diaz straight to Saudi and try and compete with you for Rodrygo.
I think we'd still beat you, Tim. Personally.
You might do. You've done more groundwork, but I do think there'd be competition for him because Rodrygo is
even
quite
Chelsea and City.
Chelsea, fucking hell! What competition's that?
Well, in terms of the transfer market, you know how they go on, bro. So
didn't they beat you to like 2 players, Tom?
Yeah,
but I got with Rodrygo.
I didn't want to go there.
So I don't really care.
You just laughed that off, like they didn't beat you to 2 players.
I did. But I got with Rodrygo. So who's the real winner? Like they can hold Caicedo and Lavia in front of my face. At the end of the day, both of them had to give Rodrygo a guard of honor this season as he walked on the pitch at Stamford Bridge. So I don't care that he beat me to him. I fucking won.
Yeah, you definitely care. That whole statement shows that you care. Yeah, you care. It's all right. But it's all right as well. You got the last laugh for sure. You got the last.
What's the point with Arsenal? Last I heard they were getting Zubimendi. Is that
why are you trying to depress the situation? We're all having fun. So Zubimendi has to come with the negative stuff.
I'm glad you brought that up. Next week, a little announcement on the terrace. So from next week, Friday, we're going to start once a week by having Sammy McBell will be joining us once a week on the Football Terrace to talk transfers. And I can't wait to talk to him about the Zubimendi deal because like he literally said yesterday that papers are signed and everyone's like, I still think it's going to fall through. And I'm like, it might, but you're just like people are Gooners are so panicking right now. To your question, so I had to run off and put the kids to bed. Sorry, but it's just going Delap. Like I like Delap. I don't think Sesko is anywhere near as bad as people make out. And do you know what's giving me more faith in him as a player? The fact that I really trust the knobheads that run Liverpool, as in Edwards and co. I think that they have an eye for a player. and you lot are potentially going to hijack him. So, yeah, I know you say that. But remember, this isn't Klopp trying to buy players. This is the men that would stop Klopp buying shit and buy you quality. And for me, there's something. There is something in that. There is something in that for me. I don't think he is as bad as people are making out. So yes, I prefer Gyökeres, but what I'm not doing is this sort of Gyökeres good, Sesko bad. I don't think it's as simple as that. I really don't. Like, if Man United end up with Sesko, I'm also excited about our front line next season. I'm not going to sit here and cry. I don't think he's a trash player. And football is littered with examples of players that do okay at one club, they move to a bigger club, or they change leagues and they go to another level. I think he's a very good player who last season, as he was developing and getting better, Leipzig weren't. And I know some people go, oh, you're signing someone who's mid-table. Yeah, Liverpool signed one of the best left-backs the league's ever seen when he got relegated. There are so many examples. Man United get a lot of this at the minute. You're signing players from mid-table teams thinking you're going to improve. Well, no disrespect. Where AC Milan this year and where were Wolves? No one's saying that buying Nuri and buying Reinders is bad because of where their clubs were. We can all recognize the quality of those players inside those teams. And I like Sesko. I don't know how many goals he'll score. I don't think he'll be a 30-goal a season striker, but I think he'll improve Arsenal's front line. The only element of everything we've discussed that I think is a little slightly disconcerting is the Kai Havertz comment. For me, that is worrying because he's a good player, Kai Havertz. But if you do get Gyokeres, if you do get Sesko, and suddenly they're being told for the first couple of months, this is the main guy, and almost not, if nothing they do is good enough to start, even then though, when they're saying that, this is why I find it so hard to believe it. If you drop 90 million on Sesko, I can't imagine you drop that kind of money on someone to play behind Kai Havertz. I can't see it.
But maybe it's just that they ease the striker in, not that Havertz is going to be the main guy for the whole season. Maybe but we don't know, Kate. We don't know, so let's not overdo it and speculate. We all know that what goes on. Havertz
under pressure, though. You see how much muscle that man's put on. You see the weights he's been doing.
He needs to start putting some weights on his legs so he can strike the ball better.
I'm sure. Yeah. Let's go to some of these super chats here, peeps. Go to some of these super chats here. It's this one here says Sesko is going to be more like if we signed Isak. He's not going to be poaching. Arteta prefers a fluid front three, which is why Isak was first choice.
I'm sorry, Toon. Does Isak not do his best work when he's in and around the penalty box?
But he's not a poacher. He's not considered a poacher.
But if you gave Isak the ball in the box, you're going to trust him to finish it. Which is what I've been told Arsenal need to do for a striker. So why are we constantly going back to this fluid thing? It hasn't worked for 3 years.
Wait, I'm not sticking up for Sesko, by the way. Just a disclaimer. By the way.
So Isak is a complete striker, so you can sort of do it inside and outside the box. I don't think it's a bad thing to be able to have. I think Sesko probably is in that same mold. I do really rate Sesko, so I think they'll be doing a bit of both really, in terms of whether it's outside the box or inside the box.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Chike here says football can learn a lot from basketball. Sack coaches for not doing well, and even if we like the sackings or not, most of the time the teams do tend to improve, unless it's the New York Knicks. Also, who's seen the new MIB movie? Is there a new Men in Black movie?
Mission Impossible.
Oh, Mission Impossible, MI8. Sorry, I thought I said that was a B. I haven't seen the final one yet, but that's one of those films. There's a selection of movies, or more like the franchises, where I will not watch the final ones in a cinema and be distracted by anyone else's noise. I'll wait for it to come out on TV, and I'll lock myself away in my cinema room, quietly by myself, and watch it so no prick can disturb me. I did it with the last Harry Potter. I did it with the last Hunger Games. I did it with the Endgame Avengers. Certain films, I'm like, I don't want anyone distracting me because I hate when I'm watching something, noise. I hate noise.
I was when you started that conversation, I was like, why would you wait to it? And then you said cinema room. I was like, okay, cinema room. If I had a freaking cinema room, I'd do the same. 100%.
When I say cinema room, it's just like a big screen TV and a few sofas and like popcorn machine.
How big is the screen? How big is the screen?
Not that big. It's like 90 inches.
Yes, this is a cinema room.
But Kunle, men exaggerate. It's probably only 45 inches. Come on, let's be fair. Terry's saying 90, so it's probably 45, maybe 48.
It's probably 120 more, like, to be fair, but he's low bowling.
I actually play things down quite a bit. Like, how much did the car cost? It's 40 grand. Yeah, no, it's no, I don't like that. But thank you, Chike, for the super chat, my bro. I appreciate it. Jan Striker win league. June Sesko horrible.
I don't get what's that.
Yes.
Now, basically, in January, if we signed him, we would have won the league. That's what he's saying. But now he's horrible. That's what he's trying to say?
No, but if you'd signed Sesko in January, you just wouldn't have won the league because he wouldn't have done any. He wouldn't have improved us.
No, but was that what people were saying in January when we needed a striker? I'm not saying. No, I'm not agreeing with the statement. Just saying a striker. So off the super chat says in January you were saying a striker wins the league. Yes, most strikers would have won you the league if you'd gotten an Ollie Watkins, for example. You would have stood a much better chance at winning the league. Guess what? If you would have been linked with Sesko in January, I'd have the exact same reaction I have now than I would have done then, because he doesn't do it for me. I think Watkins right now be a better move.
Do you know what I will say though? What I will say is this: there are lots of people changing their tunes. I see tweets. I remember tweets from people like Eduardo Haig and these guys. Gyokeres, bring me. You know, people just go bring. Now I'm seeing man talk about how, and this is one of the funniest things I heard all day today. I saw him say it. People put it in my chat earlier. If Gyökeres goes to Man United, they're like, it's a red flag about him as a player. I love that. It's like, no, again, you're just doing a tune tactics and being bitter. That's all you're doing here. Like, it's not, it's not real. It's not a red flag, in my personal opinion. But I do get you.
Play the video.
It's a red cartel. It's a red cartel. Genuine question: why are Arsenal fans laughing at Chelsea linked to Ekitike for 80 million when you're linked to Sesko for 90 million? Loving the show, guys. Hope you're all good. On Chelsea's business, I mean, they might be about to get Magic Mike in goal. They've got Delap over the line. They're moving towards a number of decent targets. Ekitike is another. I mean, they're moving a little serious this summer.
Yeah, Ekitike was another striker that we were really linked to before he talks about it. He went to PSG, and we're kind of always looking for a profile of an Isak. Hence, we've got Isak. So I think Ekitike is in that role. He's going to have to learn a little bit of things, obviously, in the Premier League. I think that'll be the main things around physicality and everything else. But I think he's a good striker. I think he'd be a very, very good striker for Chelsea. Like, to have Delap, and Ekitike, because I thought Delap wanted minutes. Like, I don't understand how. Well, he's going to be starting first. I'm assuming Ekitike is going to be on the bench though. So,
I mean,
which
from
is
what
wild,
I read, the player
wild,
Ekitike is like a winger hybrid type, so he'll be doing like left wing minutes. I'll be honest. I think we might try for Ekitike. I think if there's a long enough wait, I think we'll try one. I'm not 100% on him because I want someone who's a little bit more, ready-made, but he's a better fit than Sesko. In regards to Maignan,
Sesko.
Oh man, I hate Sesko. Regards to Maignan, he's a much better goalkeeper, but he also does have the real issue of, my God, does he love an injury?
Mate, have you ever had Magic Mike and serious in the same sentence ever? No, because there's nothing serious about this situation. Guys, you guys don't have to get involved. I just need to have a little nice, 30-second segment. Brothers in goal do not work. Let's stop doing this. Let's stop. It's like I have to put up with Nigerian goalkeepers every year because I'm Nigerian. That's it. I just have to deal with it. But you have a choice here. Chelsea, you have a choice. Don't go in the deep end. I promise you, because this time next year we're gonna be having a critical conversation. The same way everyone hyped up on. Remember people hyping up Onana because they thought, oh, La Masia, he's good with his feet. What are we saying now? What are we saying now? I'm warning you guys. Remember where you heard it first. Brothers in goal, it's a no-go.
I would just like to say that Terry Flewers and the Football Terrace does not endorse this message about brothers in goal. This is purely an opinion that relates to Kunle by himself, and we do not endorse this message in any way, in any shape, or in any form. Sorry, I had to do that. You know the world we live in nowadays.
Yeah.
Like, I had to do it. Do you know what I mean? So I respect your opinion massively, though. But
I'm gonna own it. I don't need anyone to agree with me. It's me. But we'll talk about the same time.
I'm only joking. I'm only joking. It's just so funny because my group chats, like my friend group chats, just pop off like that, and it's just like, any opinions from you, Terry? And I'm like, no. They're like, you're scared we're gonna we're gonna screenshot you in the group chat. I always say that to my boys. I'm like, yeah, I am in mugs because I've got mates that would think that would be funny, and I'm like, it ain't. So yeah, it's not. And I am talking about you, Dwayne, you piece of shit. I'm talking about you. This is the kind of guy that used to, like, when we were younger and we were out, like, he'd like take pictures of a bloke, like one of our mates who was chatting to a girl, and he sent it to the man's girlfriend just for a laugh. Just to go, oh, you're gonna have fun when you get home. He was just a madman. He just finds he's got a very warped sense of humor. So yeah, there we go. Terry, if we get Sesko, I would be worried because it will be Rasmus 2.0. We don't need potential strikers. We need experience. We get Victor. It's a guaranteed 15 plus goals with Sesko. I don't know. Look, do you know what? I hear where you're coming from, and I do. But Rasmus has also hurt us like Darwin has hurt Liverpool fans. And I get your point on not wanting potential, right? The problem is, let's say now we go carpet ban on potential. Man United in 2004, when we bought Cristiano Ronaldo, in 2004, when we bought in Ronaldo, we'd already started to not win league titles, and we had problems in our squad, but we didn't stop investing in players that could become the very best. Now, I know what you'll do is go, you can't say Sesko's as good as Ronaldo or Rooney. I'm giving you a case in point, though, where you can't not invest in youth because Rasmus didn't work. You can't not invest in a player from Portugal because Darwin Núñez didn't work out. If you like create a carpet ban on that, you will end up missing out on some imagine Man United didn't sign Bruno because Portuguese players from the Portuguese league. You can't quite do it. I get where you're coming from, but there we go. Isak, numbers at Real Sociedad, 38 GA in 105 games. Before he moved to Newcastle. FYI, I'm not comparing Isak to Sesko, but let's see what happens. I think that's very, very fair.
When you watch this, you could tell he could finish. You could tell when
by the way,
hold on. Yeah. I don't want to sound like I'm sticking up for Sesko, so I don't really want to say this thing. So but that okay, I won't say it. Okay.
Come on, Kunle. Don't bottle it.
No, what I was going to say is that the summer before, what's it called? Isak came to Newcastle. The summer that Isak came to Newcastle, people were talking about his numbers that previous season, and they didn't look that good. Yeah, but he's got some technique, and they say similar things about Sesko. He's got good technique, good movement in a better situation. He could be a top striker. Look. Yeah. Like that's the only afterthought I have about this Sesko thing. I don't because I remember how annoyed I was
when
only
delusion you're giving yourself.
No. Because remember how annoyed I was when Newcastle ended up with Isak and we end up with Jesus. I was very frustrated about that scenario, and I don't want to be there again. That's the only. Maybe it's opium. Maybe it is.
Kunle, what's the frustration justified?
Yes.
Exactly.
Love when the Nigerian accent comes out. You know you're talking serious business. Then
that's how you know when Kunle's mood changes. I had a friend like that, right? His name was Alex Grimmer. He was from South Africa, but he used to compete for Team GB at kickboxing. And when it was, you could hear the sort of twinge of South African in his voice. He'd been in England a long time, but even when he got wavy or when he got angry, like. The way his voice changed, it used to make me die. It was so thick and so deep. And it was just, sometimes you thought you were in a room with a different human being. It was like, what the fuck? Your voice just changed, Alex. He was a great guy. Lou here, big up yourself, Lou, says on Gyokeres, it's Arteta versus Amorim, not Arsenal versus United. There's a little bit of that in there. There is a little bit of that. Kai Havertz has 37 GA in his last 50 games. Is that true?
Surely not, man. Can we have a rerun, please? Somebody else confirm that information.
I'm gonna. Is that true?
Crazy.
Someone get on Chat GTP and check that out. In his last 50 games, I mean that's true. That is amazing. You can't even. The GA is amazing.
You don't know how good you got it.
Well, you don't know how good you got it. So in his last this season, he played 36 games. and he had 15 goals, and he had 5 assists. So he had 20 GA in 36, which makes kind of sense. Let's go back to last season. So that's 20. You remember 20 and 36?
Well, yeah, actually.
Let's go back, and then we've got to count back 14 games, right? So let's count. Oh, they're not in order though, are they? Right. So let's count back 14 games. That's probably true, you know. It's true. It's true.
I mean,
Because I went to his Premier League game. I went to his Premier League games from 38th game. From the 38th game back to the 25th game in the February. It's mad. In between game week 25 and game week 38, he scored 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 goals in the league and got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 assists. So that's 16 GA in those league games. So that was 20 on 16. So yeah, that's break the 37. And there must have been a Champions League game. And actually, there's 2 more GA in the Champions League in that period. So you're probably talking.
No wonder he's starting as our number 9. You get
38 GA. So what's that on the percentage? Hang on. Let's just do his percentage as a striker. That's 38 GA in the last 50 games as a striker. That gives him a rate of he's scoring or assisting in 76% of your games.
That's why the article makes more sense now. Gyökeres has to be quiet when he comes there.
Yeah, hush your mat, you guys on the bench, boy. Hush your mat, bro. That's a crazy stat. That's a crazy stat. Thank you, ABC, for educating us on that. And then, it's not all about stats. We know that. We're having some fun. Please relax your brains. It's a Thursday evening or Friday night in my world. Hope this doesn't turn out to be a Suarez 2.0. Just sign. I thought you meant how good the player was or whatever else.
Yeah.
I thought you meant, the 50+1. I'll get you now. I didn't know what we were referring to for a second there. Tom was about to get his t-shirt out. Wait.
Oh my God.
Arsenal would be better getting Martinez from Milan.
Don't wash your mouth. Wash your screen. Wash your laptop. Wash your. How? Oh, please don't ever say such nonsense again, please. Someone I just collected 5 in the Champions League final, please.
You know that David Brent scene in The Office where he goes, "Women are dirty," right? And he gets forced into saying it. That the way he said "dirty," that's in my mind right now. Shane Moore is dirty. That is just dirty to say that. Do you know how slow that man is? Do you know how his lack of athleticism he'd be gobbled up in the Premier League, bruv? He'd be gobbled up in the Premier. Look at what happened to him when he played PSG. And PSG have power, speed, but supreme technical ability. So many Premier League teams have got pace and power in them now. Lautaro Martinez would get eaten alive over here.
Could you imagine the first Lautaro Martinez, James Tarkowski duel?
Stop. He's out for the season. Bro.
Finished, bruv. Havertz and Jesus are they on 500k a week combined?
Holy crap.
Well, yeah, Havertz on like 275, isn't he?
That probably makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yes, they are. Please.
Why would you sell them? Why would you sell someone?
I think there's a slightly bigger issue with shifting Jesus.
We can move. I don't think that was one of the topic points for today, so we can move on. It's fine.
Have you seen the new topic point though, Kunle? You want a new backup keeper?
Yeah, Kepa.
Hey, we just had who was our keeper Neto this year? Like backup keepers don't move me.
Yeah, but
not many keepers get injured.
By the way, there is some breaking news that's just come out now. It's just been DM'd to me about Arsenal actually. Let me just read this out to you now, guys.
If it's not good, please don't read it. I beg.
Look at Kunle's face, everyone. See if we'll do. Let's see if Kunle smiles. Right. So this is what it says. It says Arsenal have made Rodrygo their number 1 winger target.
Yeah, that's what we need. If you want, sign Sesko. We don't care.
Arsenal's recruitment team are in unanimous agreement, whilst several key figures at the club, including first-team players, have spoken to Rodrygo about the move. The report goes on to say that Arsenal will present a strong financial offer to Rodrygo should Rodrygo become available, and they are willing to compete with any club for his signing. Real Madrid are adamant they do not want to sell the player unless he asks for a move personally. But it does appear, and what I will say is this: it's not Arsenal, Kate. It's not grifting for Arsenal. What I'm about to say, okay?
I can take it from you, Terry. You're not a Tottenham fan.
Okay. When it comes to transfers, I always think when a club have been linked for as long as Arsenal now have been, and they are going to make these offers, and they are trying, I always think that means there's a possibility. Does that make sense? I always think there's the possibility, although publicly he's like, I don't want to leave, and the Madridsters are saying no, the manager wants him. This story isn't going away, so there's a chance. Thoughts on that, Kunle, that he's your number one. We know that you're linked to Sane. Sane is a deal that you are looking at. Something that Bell has confirmed that. But Rodrygo isn't off the... Is that why... Look, your fans are getting annoyed you haven't bought anybody yet. But is it worthwhile not signing Sane yet? Is it worthwhile not triggering the release clause for Williams yet? Because you're pursuing Rodrygo. Is it better to try and get Rodrygo for another 3, 4, 5 weeks before signing a left winger, or just buy what's available now? What would you prefer?
Get me Rodrygo. I don't care about anything that you said, just as long as Rodrygo comes, bro. All that stuff. As long as we get Rodrygo at the Emirates, that's all that matters. Even if you sign me Ollie Watkins as my number 9, I'll deal with it. I'll actually deal with it. I wouldn't want it, but I'll deal with it. But
Hold on.
Rodrygo.
How are you making out that signing someone who can get like 20 Premier League goals is a hardship up front? If you've got to get me Ollie Watkins, a guy who's fired Villa to European football last
but
times,
no top team, no top team want him right now. Though, really.
The only way you're getting Rodrygo is when Real Madrid come to visit at the Emirates. Not a chance.
But wait, why don't you think he would?
Because
I create the scenario, Kate. Let me set the scene.
Go on.
So obviously, Mbappe's there, Vinny's there, and they're kind of the main guys. And if anyone's gonna, let's say Vinny gets injured, Mbappe probably goes out on the left. If both of them get injured, they're like, "Oh wow, we remember you, Rodrygo. You know the guy that saved us from Manchester City in the last 5 minutes. We remember you." That's when they remember a man like Rodrygo, someone that's got them a couple of Champions League, La Liga titles. He doesn't feel valued there. He's won everything at the club he wanted to play for as a boy. He's won everything there. So he's got a chance to go to a new league, the best and most watched league in the world, to play in his actual position, and wins. If he wins a league at Arsenal, he's immediately a legend there because of how much we're starving. So
2 reasons.
It makes sense, and he live in London as well. You know, Brazilians they like
2 reasons he won't come to you, because if he does become available, City and Liverpool will go in for him, and they've got more pull than you have. And second of all, he's not going to come to Arsenal because it basically means he's giving up trophies, so he won't do it.
Kate. Do you know what? I'm going to let you have that one this year. I'm going to let you have that. I'm like, because you're not going to get to say that to me often.
Trophies, maybe
I'm going to let you have that one, Kate. Enjoy it. 17 years to do it, so I'm not going to retaliate, even though I badly want to. But that being said, there's a very big chance that he can come to Arsenal. I'm not going to lie to you. There is. And I can't wait to come on the stream and we announce it together, Kate.
Do you know what?
Hopefully I'm in London at the time when it gets announced.
That is never going to happen.
God, please. Do
You're more likely to get Kepa than you are to get Rodrygo.
Oh mate, if I see Arsenal with Kepa next year, oh my god.
Nobody thought we were going to get Ozil when we got him, so here we go. And it was a similar scenario where he felt unwanted at Madrid. Rodrygo feeling unwanted at Madrid.
Yeah, but it's a new
living in London versus living in Manchester and Liverpool. I know which one I.
It's not living in London like Mayfair. It's living in North London, which if you've been there,
why is it? No, he doesn't have to live in North London. He doesn't have to live in North London. He can live anywhere in London.
Yeah, but none of the Liverpool players live in Liverpool. They all live in
the posh part.
Oh, is it? Yeah, what's the weather like there?
About the same as everywhere else in the fucking UK.
It doesn't rain as much in London as it does in Manchester or Liverpool. Mate.
No, it's raining today, Kunle, to be fair.
Really?
Yeah.
Let me live, man. It's not the end of the window yet. Let me live, man. For fuck's sake, man. Rodrygo's coming. Rally the troop. Yeah, until he doesn't, I might as well hang on to it, or I'll be depressed to a window. Because Arsenal fans are the easiest fans to manipulate during the transfer window. So I don't believe 99% of the stories that are out there because they're more triggering than anything. I just say, let's wait. Let's see what happens. People want us fans to be more frustrated than we are. I'm not scared about the Zubimendi thing. I think we're done. I think it's done, to be honest, personally. I'm not nervous. Yeah. I will announce it too. But there's nothing to be nervous about. The window's literally just opened. And everyone's like, oh, Arsenal, you should be embarrassed. I'm not worried.
Well, we haven't been linked to anyone. So, it could be worse. Because we've not been linked to anybody at all.
You lot are still getting drunk, man. Enjoy yourself, man. Enjoy yourself.
I think Tottenham's going to get either Tyler Diblin. I think I heard a report yesterday. Madueke, but I think Diblin's the more.
I reckon they
closer.
get Eze, you know. I reckon Spurs get Eze, you know.
I think they get Grealish and Diblin probably.
Grealish is a very Tottenham move.
Wait,
Grealish and
how
Sane
much
on the
does
wings.
Grealish? How much does he cost now? Do you think?
Cost or probably about 30,
yeah.
35 million. 35 million probably now.
Yeah,
I'll be honest. I think City just want to shift him.
okay,
I don't even
fair,
think he's going to go to that Club World Cup. I think they just want to get rid of him. So let's get him for like 25. It's just
they've already told him he's not going, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah. He's not going.
Wait, has anyone done a
about?
stream on how people qualify for this Club World Cup? By the way, I still
You
don't
qualify
really
for the Club
understand.
World Cup if you want. It's like the 17 different things you could have done to qualify for it. Basically,
Okay,
Chelsea are in it because they won the Champions League 4 years ago.
So why are Juventus in it? I saw Juventus are in it as well.
Juventus, I don't even know the exact reason why Juventus are in it, but I assume it's to do with like their coefficients by their country at the time that the draw was done meant they were the highest.
Yeah, because last year the Italians were the ones that got the 5 places, weren't they? I think Italy was the team that was top of that. So but by that lot, it's mad how it's happened. But it's one of them. It's one of them weird competitions. I'm covering it. I'm looking at it. You never know if it's gonna take off or not. But it's weird, isn't it? Because like I listened to the Portugal fans last night. Did you watch Portugal Germany last night, guys? Did you watch that game? Really good game. When the goals were going in, you could tell the crowd were proper up for it and they were on it. Yeah, I always feel like the Nations League in England is treated just like meh, no one gives a damn. But again, in Europe, they take that shit seriously. So we'll see. Although I was talking to Goldbridge today and he said that he's been out in America and he was meeting different people in the sports industry, and they were just like, the World Club Cup's out there and no one gives a fuck. No one. It's like, man, we don't care. It's basically they were saying to him, we like the Prem, and they look at football like it's a sideshow. It's just like they look at it like, you know how we all watch KSI fighting Mike Tyson or Jake Paul? That's the kind of their view of like football. It's just like, oh, that's fun, but not serious.
Is it still that? Is it still that? Even with all the changes, and still that?
I'm not talking for the everyday person who watches it. But having said that, I remember Jess was at like an event out there hosting for the Premier League, and I watched some of the footage, and there was like a guy there with a Wolverhampton Wanderers shirt on, a Leicester jacket, and a Nottingham Forest hat. So yeah, I don't think they take it seriously. And that was Hamza. No, it wasn't really Hamza. Like, it's one of them ones. I don't think they take it that seriously, like by and large. There'll be a good percentage of people that do, but the vast majority, it's like, oh, suckers on. Let's go have like we treat WWE. We know it ain't real. You just get involved. But yeah, I think it's one of them.
So basically, the Club World Cup was done by a UEFA 4-year ranking outside the Champions League winners, except they could only have 2 teams from each country unless there was more teams from the country that had won the Champions League. Therefore, that's why likes of Salzburg, Porto, and Benfica are in it. And then they've done a same one for South America, except for Inter Miami, who they just let in because Lionel Messi's there. And they wanted Lionel Messi at the tournament.
Sounds legit.
Yeah.
So it's a really, well organized, well structured, prestigious tournament. Which just if you've got a really good player and you didn't qualify, we might just let you in anyway. They tried to find a way to get Ronaldo in as well, but they couldn't.
Are they stopping now the tournament you go into if you win the Champions League? Is that now stopping because of this?
That's now this. So if you win the Champions League in the next 4 years, you then go into the 2029 edition of this one. And you get, the badge that you get on your chest. You get that badge for 4 years now.
The one thing I'd say will incentivize teams is you get 50 million quid for being in it, and I think you get up to 100 million if you win the thing. That will incentivize clubs at the end of the day. That is an incentive to win it because that's a huge amount of money, and I think it's going to have a lot of PR behind it.
Total prize,
and we're all going to watch it as much as we chat shit now.
I'm watching it. I'm doing. I think I'm doing watch-alongs on That's Football, and we're doing some big match reactions on the terrace. So I'm not. I was like that with the Super League. Day one, I was like, this is bullshit, and then I remember sitting there the next day. I was working with Joel Bayer. And he's like, you lot are going to do content on it though, aren't you? And I was like, you're so right. I've got to stop slagging it off because there I will be. Welcome to the Football Terrace. Man United 3, Juve 1 in the Super League. I'd have been covering it. And it's like a lot of things, isn't it? Like I noticed this week, I went and checked out because I bookmarked a lot of people that were like very aggressively against the cuts at Man United fans, this is. Saw them this week, went to their Twitter accounts. Bring me Kunle, buzzing. Mbomo, hold that, everybody. Not one tweet about people losing their jobs to pay for it. Not because they should, but A few weeks ago, you were so vehemently against. I've got a problem with virtue signalers. People that will say they're against something because it's fashionable to, but then in reality, when they're tasting the sweet succulent fruits that come from that immoral act, they're loving it. It's a bit like when owners. That's why I'm not against any owner from any part of the world theoretically owning a club. Because in reality, I think we would all do the same thing we saw Newcastle fans do. Condemn it for 20 years, and then when you get it, you celebrate and party. It's one of them ones for me. I just don't do the virtue signaling bollocks. There was an Athletic article saying that PSR was based off Man United's UK accounts, not their main Cayman Island ones. Can you do a video on that? Yeah, I am gonna look at that. I didn't read the full article today, to be fair. I didn't have the time. I've had a lot on with family, but I will look at it. At the end of the day, I want Man United to start doing a bit of a Chelsea and a bit of a City. If they're allowed to do it, listen, I was saying today, right? You seen the news that's come out about like they're not going to stop you selling parts of your club. This is my prediction. Clubs are going to start. Do you guys all know what Barratt Homes is?
Yeah.
Barratt Homes used to build like housing estates around the UK and loads of housing estates. You get those like modern day housing estates that were getting built. But when you actually did work for Barratt Homes, you didn't work for Barratt Homes. You work for Barratt Homes Plumbing Limited. You work for Barratt Homes Electricians, Barratt Homes Boilers. They had all these subsections of the company. That way, sometimes they could just decide to not fucking pay a group of people. You wouldn't be able to sue Barratt Homes. You'd sue this subsidiary. I think clubs are going to start doing something similar where it's going to the women's team, the men's team, the club museum. You know, Spurs could do the bars. They could do the Skywalk is a separate business. The go-karts is a separate business. You create the separate entities. And then whenever you need an injection of cash, you could just go, today it's been announced that ENIC are buying for £200 million the Skywalk business off of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. That is what's going to happen now. And if that's the rules, that's the rules. My view is, well, I want my club. What's the expression? If you can't beat them, fucking join them. Do you know what I mean? And start doing that type of thing. So, yeah, I want us to do a bit of that because everybody else is. And if it's good for the goose, it's got to be good for the gander. Lavia went to Chelsea because Liverpool were too focused on Caicedo. Can happen again with Gyökeres. Good. I think I was aimed at you, Kunle, because you were crying about it earlier.
I strategically ignored it.
Kunle's happy now that we had Rodrygo. He doesn't care about any strikers.
Literally, mate. I'm vibing right now.
You don't want to do striker conversation anymore. Let's talk more about left wing.
Why are you stressing me with nonsense when there's Rodrygo to discuss? Yeah.
Well, I was about to say I had to shoot out for a minute, but I think they've got a history, haven't they? They got Saliba from Real Madrid. They got Odegaard. They got a Brazilian from Real Madrid in Julio Baptista all those years ago. So there's history here of players going from Madrid to Arsenal. So it could happen. Could happen.
You never
it could
know.
be next. Could be next. I don't understand. By the way, who are Spurs linked to? Champions League Spurs. What's going on?
Sane, Grealish.
Sane's rejected us already.
I thought winning the Champions League changed things. Getting into Champions League changed things.
You got pool now, mate. Trophy.
We've still got a shit chairman. All that's happened is our Donna Cullen's resigned, one of Levy's minions, and there's rumours that there's a Qatari takeover incoming. That's about the lot.
Have you still
as long as Ange stays, then you'll all be all right, man.
Oh no, and Ange is back from holiday today, so
already.
Yeah.
After winning the trophy after 17 years, you don't even give him more time.
Pre-season starts in like 3.5 weeks. Pre-season training's in 3.5 weeks.
Terry, I know this. What do you want me to do? I wish I could go down there and kick some ass, but I can't.
And Jindo, right?
It's frustrating and just take the piss out of everyone else.
See, this is exactly why Henry wants to be in with a chance of winning the league next year, and you had to go at him because none of this would be going on if you had the
I'm not giving up my memories. And the worst thing is he was at Bilbao. He watched us lift that trophy and he'd still give it up. And he didn't even hesitate. He went in
but it's like crack. It's like crack. It's like crack. He wants that hit again, but better.
No. Yeah, but Arsenal don't.
You're not...
Terry,
so wait, Anjin, yeah?
Tottenham have been where Arsenal are. We was finishing where Arsenal were.
You've never been where Arsenal are in your lives. Come on now.
We got to a Champions League final. We still.
Where are your 13? Where are your 13?
Because you got to a Champions League final, that don't mean you're like Arsenal.
Talking about in the recent era.
Okay.
We
I
go
get
back
that.
Hey,
to
who
Man
even are
United,
you right
please.
now, Kate? Who are you right now?
Who
All right.
are you?
Literally.
Who was that person on Big Brother that did that? Half man, half amazing says question panel. Kunle was on £90,000 a week, or is on £90,000 a week at Wolves.
That was a great question for the panel, lad.
Yeah, I just know the answer. I'm not going to deliberate. Saying you don't know how he picks United, you just forgotten Amorim is the manager who got him to this level. This is true. We've got a guy that phones in called Ian. I hope you're still watching. He did one of the best phone-ins I've ever had on the show, and he did the PR for it. He said, forget Pog back. That was great. He said, this is what it will be when we sign, if and when we sign Gyökeres. It will be Gyökeres and Amorim like arms over each other's shoulders, and the headline will be reunited. And I was like, that's pretty good. That's pretty good, from a PR perspective.
Is he looking for
Sesko,
work, man? He sounds like a good marketer, bro.
I know. If United do that and don't give him any commish, do you know? Do you know if you guys watch Cobra Kai?
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
I'm a Karate Kid fan, so I definitely watched it.
Yeah. So am I. Big up. I've got pictures of it all on my wall. I love it. Right. When the first season happened, there was a guy that about 15 years earlier did this YouTube thing about. It was all about how we misunderstood Johnny Lawrence, and actually Daniel LaRusso was the kind of like the aggressor and was the arsehole, and it wasn't Johnny Lawrence. And it was a really good 20-minute YouTube video, and it made you rethink it. Basically, the first season of Cobra Kai stole that idea and made the script like that. And there was loads of. I remember when the first season came out, because the first season was on YouTube. If you remember, the first season of Cobra Kai was on YouTube Red. It wasn't on Netflix when it first got released, and all the comments were like, "You stole it from this guy." So if Man United still reunited from Ian, they owe him some money, man. They owe him some money.
Right.
PD here says Sesko 100 goals, quarter of them scored in Austria second division, and another 10 or so in the youth competitions. The Austrian,
not even in the Austrian top flight, the Austrian second division.
I think Kai Havertz will be the reason why Arteta is sacked.
I
I
agree.
did say that 2 years ago. It'd either be the reason we won the league or the reason why he'd be sacked. It would be one extreme or the other.
Emmanuel here says, Tom, didn't Edwards, the transfer guru, want Sesko? He still does, according to the reports. Still does.
According to the reports, we want every striker under the sun. We just don't know who we want yet.
Who's a better 9, Sesko or Moreno?
Moreno.
Come on.
Oh, Tom
Chatting
hates it.
breeze
Tom,
now.
do you hate him that much, bro? Is
Yes.
it that deep?
Yes.
What happened? What did he do?
Not much really, just apart from being a really shit striker who gets really overhyped.
Kunle,
He's going to get good here one day.
No, I don't think we
against
ever played
Liverpool.
against him.
Oh, right.
Kunle, can you read this super chat, please?
Okay. Was Vince Yama and Shaka Hislop last good? I don't know what that.
Yeah, I think he just means the last good goalkeepers that were.
And see, this is my issue. I big up Yama. He's a Nigerian legend, but he's a Nigerian legend. He's not a football legend, or he's a Nigerian.
You know what's
and
mad
big
about?
him up as well. Big
I
him up.
remember watching AFCON on Sky. It was on Sky TV. It was in the 90s because I was still living. I just remember where I was watching it and listening. And I was in a high-rise flat I used to live, that my family lived in East London. And I remember the commentators talking, and they were like chuckling at things like goalkeepers and defenders used to do. Do you know what I mean? And I remember watching it, and my dad, I remember my dad saying, like, my dad used to get annoyed about that sort of stuff. He's like, oh, I hate this. I was like, what? He goes, like, they're getting better every year. I don't like the laughing and the way the world's gone. But you only have to go back to the 90s to watch like Soccer AM and what they used to say about women's football. There was this famous scene of Tim Lovejoy saying Sky Sports have like broken barriers this week by showing, I think he said something like showing like disabled football on television to take a look, and it cut to clips from women's football. And it was like, oh,
No.
and that was, yeah, it's crazy. But I remember watching AFCON I want to say it was on Sky. And people, like the commentators were like giggling at things that were going on from goalkeepers and things like that. And I was like, rah, it's not a great, wouldn't happen now. Wouldn't happen.
I will be
now.
honest though, AFCON is the most entertaining football competition out there just for the mad shit that
Love
happens.
it. No, I
Hey,
love it.
this AFCON was better than the Euros.
Mate,
No,
Watch the games.
like the manager whose team have just lost a penalty shootout. He's hunched over, and then his assistant just starts pouring water over him.
yeah. And by the way, viewers, yes, I do know that Shaka Hislop was not was Caribbean. Yes, I understand that. People go, he's Caribbean. I'm like, we know. We watched him. I watched him play. He was a very good goalkeeper.
No, but this is the thing, Terry. Like, I don't. Again, you can put me on the main screen for this. I don't mind taking all the credit.
No, it's cool, man.
When it comes to I'm asking the comment section. Legendary black goalkeepers. Name me 2. That's it. And if you tell me Mendy and Dida, the game's gone. Thank you for management.
Can I ask you a question? What do you put that down to?
This is just me, right? I think a lot of us, we have like main character syndrome, and if we're a goalkeeper with main character syndrome, like we're gonna do some main character things, innit? Like we shouldn't be doing. We need to keep it simple sometimes, my brothers. It's okay when like that's me personally, innit? That's me personally. Like I know as an African I shouldn't be talking about my people like this, but unless you can show me a top world-class African goalkeeper, don't you dare say, what's his name? What's that guy, that Bruce Groveler? He's not black, he's African. That's what I knew you was gonna try to use that one. But until you can do it, look at the names I'm hearing. David James, like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Come on. If we said give me a top African midfielder, you say stuff like Okocha, at least all these guys, people that ball, and yeah. But look at the names you're coming with, man. David James, Dida. Mendy won the Champions League. Yes, he did. He definitely did. But then the next season, we knew when he became the main character, we saw what started to happen, innit? He's back in Saudi now. You get me? So, like, I could just be talking, but the proof is there. You don't have to want to accept it, my brothers. You don't have to accept it. It's fine. We can still keep making these mistakes. And maybe law of averages says we'll get one. But till then, we ain't got one, man. Smash the like button.
Fun fact, Mudryk and Cruz combined have 190 GA in 666 La Liga games, and KDB alone has 191 GA in just 298 games. KDB is the greatest midfielder in the Premier League, but he is not at the same level as Mudryk and Cruz.
Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it, Dean. I don't know, Mike Johnny used GA alignment with Tony Cruz.
Numero 10 is right there.
No idea.
I don't get what that means. Rodrygo, Sesko, Saka equals cooking, turn into a top front line, I think he means. Good front line. Was just kidding. Love the reaction. I know you were kidding. I know you're kidding, Shano. FIFA put the Club World Cup matches in weak sport cities. Well, they're trying to grow it, aren't they? That's why they've done it. But again, I just look at it this way: you're better off putting it in South America or Europe. But then those audiences love football, so what they're trying to do, and I do get why they do it with the World Cups and that they're putting it in countries where they want to grow football. Like there is a method to that madness. Honestly, we care about host World Cup year with the World Club Cup. I don't know what you mean.
I assume they're saying that they're doing this Club World Cup so they get the rights to host a World Cup in the future, and that's what they're after.
Right. Well, the next World Cup is in America and Canada and Mexico, isn't it? To my previous super chat, all the fans saying Kroos and Modric are 8s and KDB is a 10. From 2016 to 2020, KDB played 8 and David Silva was the 10 at City. It's a fair point. We need that ref from the AFCON that blew the whistle early.
Did he not blow the whistle early twice?
Yeah, twice. he made up for his mistake and then still made the mistake again after. Sick.
Oh, team tap.
But that's not the normal level of AFCON. It happened. It was a one-off, guys. So that's not just a one-off. Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's the most entertaining tournament you can watch, honestly.
What happened, Toon?
I was here for like 10 minutes. I was like, I was messaging you guys. I was here.
Was you crying about Mbuemo backstage?
Yeah, 100%. I got the first.
Has anyone got talk sport from the last 10 minutes?
Then I heard some talk crazy about Sesko. It was too much, man.
That was Kunle. He's having to go at African goalkeepers. We just all stay quiet. Like it's just Kunle going on a mad sort of Tommy Robinson rant. It was crazy. Kunle, you're not lying. I said this about Sanchez.
Oh dear.
Look, I understand it's a grey area to speak about, guys. I understand. I get it. So I ain't mad.
Some people are feeling real free to talk crazy now, so it's gonna. Well done, Kunle.
Yeah, for real. Might be my fault. Sorry, this is my opinion alone, guys. That doesn't give you window to talk crazy in the comments now. Relax.
There's some red-faced gammon going, oh, Kunle's opened the door for me.
He's opened it up.
I hear it. Listen, we are at the end of the show now. I want to thank every single person that's tuned in. We're back live tomorrow, 10:30 for the Done Deal show. We're taking your calls. We want to hear what you've got to say about things. So make sure you get across to that video now. Get it liked, get it bookmarked. Kunle, Kate, Tom, Toon Tactics, thank you for tuning in. To all of our super chatters, for all of our members, everyone who's hit the like button, a big thank you to each and every single one of you. Until next time, take care, goodbye, God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.